Welcome back to hopefully what is another banger of a game. Today is the last match of Division 2, the regular season. Both teams are qualified, but it's going to be a stressful game today for one team in particular. Purple Jacket are in the lower bracket. No One's Legend will be in the higher bracket if they win today, but if they lose, they will be in the lower bracket. Today, I am with BRP Boy. How are you feeling about today's game?
I am excited. I think we are gonna have a blast in this game here today. As you said, this is a stressful game for No One Legends 7. As if they manage to lose this, it's gonna be yet another game in between Purple Jacket and NOL7 in 1 week. If we maybe can look at the standings here a little bit. Uh, we do have good Cheetos on top with Absol Kittens and C2 Esports already locked in for that top bracket. But if none manages to win this, they are barely squeezing by to that fourth place because of how their win rates game-wise have been.
Absolutely. I mean, today, as you mentioned, it's not exactly something you want to have is going into the lower bracket and potentially having to play another game to climb up and hopefully win the spring split, really. But I mean, you never know what could happen today. I mean, both teams are very close by in the standings. Both have been impressive and somewhat lackluster at times during their games today. Are you anticipating any team to come out on top today, or do you think it might go the full distance, BRB?
Well, I think we are gonna have quite a close game here. I don't have anybody favored uh, for the beginning of this. We will see how it all will go down as we get in. But of course, No One Legends have had a little bit better games, the few games they have played. But we will see how Purple Jacket is feeling today. And if No Legends is gonna lose this today, there's a high chance if they don't change their mentality at least, or maybe a little bit of their playstyle and improve, they might even lose in 1 week in the lower bracket. Of course, best of five, of course, so the chances are bigger, but we will not know. But on that note, we are gonna be going over to draft here. Gonna look at the first ban. It's gonna be Trash from PJ.
Yeah, banning Weather Thresh. I mean, I'm not necessarily surprised that that one definitely champion we've seen been played, and also just kind of if you are looking to play that little bit more reserve composition, I think playing against the Thresh can be difficult. But No One's Legend 7 are going to reply banning the Weird the Neferi. Now, something that Cyan likes to play 45 games and has a decent win rate, like 56%. But then looking at Purple Jacket and respond with another favourite champion, but this time it's favourite champion in Matufas. That is the Fiddlestick being banned away. 71 games in this champion and still holding nearly 60% win rate. Quite an impressive amount of games, an impressive win rate, really, for a champion that not isn't necessarily the easiest to navigate throughout this meta. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, it's not the easiest champion to navigate, but if you do know how to navigate him, he can be pretty good. But we also do see the Nocturne ban here, a pretty annoying jungler to play against with that darkness, of course, managing to gank all lanes as whenever they want to. So it is quite personal bans and not too many meta bans right now, but it is expected to see for the first three bans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it yourself that darkness is quite hard to work around depending on what composition you're playing, and definitely champion who's seen lazy play before. Small, relatively small sample size, but still some pretty good outstanding rates there. Purple Jacket are going to now ban out a Victor away. So I'm assuming that they're not really wanting to play into that sort of lane bully that Victor can bring with that laser. Again, a champion that just gets stronger as the game goes on, looking to scale. Noah's Legend 7 are going to take away what's probably looking like Demon Trick Smolder. A champion that's very strong in the meta right now. And also just incredibly difficult to deal with once you get the stacks and you get the execute as well. So I'd be interested what the first pick is Purple Jacket. For Purple Jacket, what do you think they'll prioritize here, Burb?
If I'm gonna guess, they are gonna prioritize a ADC, but I was wrong. They are gonna
Mm.
prioritize that Sin Sao, maybe one of the most picked junglers in Div 2. As I am looking through the stat, it is the most picked jungler in Division 2 for this series.
Yeah, something that Lazy has played before, especially during his solo queue games, and obviously during the split during the regular season as well. Again, can just create so many problems with that crescent guard during team fights as well. But no one's Legend 7 sort of want to reply with that Demacian sort of justice maybe, but bring back a Jarvan into this. Now Jarvan, again, a champion that's sort of pretty much always S tier a lot of the time, especially when it comes to competitive games. Um, Not necessarily champion that Matufa's played a whole lot during the solo, but played a little bit during regular season. But again, a champion that if you are playing that sort of less mobile sort of composition, then it's perfect for Javan to capitalize on. And they're going to pair that with an Aphelios as well. Not something I'm necessarily surprised at because Goth Mommy Spit has played a lot of games on this Aphelios.
Yeah, as we also are gonna say that J4 is also the second most picked in this series in jungle. So we are gonna see the two most popular junglers getting picked right
Yeah.
away. The Aphelios is not too interesting of a pick. A really hard champion if you don't know what you're doing. We are gonna have the Ash Seraphine a lot. Pretty annoying combo in bot lane. At least it wasn't Ash Brum as I prefer to play. Uh, but Ash Seraphine isn't the worst combo here either.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised at the Ash. I understand the lane dominance and the bulliness behind the Ash and the Seraphine. But that being said, what I mentioned earlier about the Ash and the Seraphine, sorry, about the Aphelios and the Jarvan kind of creating trouble for anyone who's quite immobile. Now, if Purple Jacket can't do a good enough job of peeling for the Ash, then it could be relatively easy for Matufa to sort of get on top of the Ash here in the situation, get on top of Goth Enjoyer because quite an immobile champion. When someone's on you, it's quite difficult to kite back, especially if you've got champions that can sort of lock you down like the Jarvan can. That being said, the reply to that is going to be Emilio. Now, I really, really like the Emilio pick here, Bert, because I do feel like the sort of the cleanses, the overall team cleanse is just so important, especially when you're against an Ashen and Seraphine.
Yeah, I was gonna point that out as well. The menu picker is pretty good against this as Seraphine combination. A lot of CC and a lot of area CC as well with the Seraphine ult and E. So Emilio is a pretty nice pick here with those heals as well. Probably gonna save a lot of people this. I am expecting to see Emilio on the MVP or the Ace, but we will see. I am maybe getting a little bit on the horse right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But the bans are going to be Lysandra and Vex taken away from Purple Jacket, and then the Aurora is going to be taken away from No One's Legend 7. And the final ban should come here any moment. I mean, I'm anticipating probably another mid lane ban here, but top lane, there's not really been much focus on it so far. So it is going to be a Syndra that gets banned away there. I mean, a little surprising that there's nothing being banned away from the top lane there, but
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting that we have no top lane bans all across 10 bans. I don't think I've seen that before, but at least they are gonna probably pick or blind pick mid lane here. Uh, I don't really know what could go well with this. Apparently, they are thinking Zoe here.
I'm going to take the Zoe there. I mean, a champion that if you are sort of playing that high, I mean, they are quite high poke right now with Lomas Legend 7. So I would maybe anticipate potentially Purple Jacket to reply with something. I mean, they do like to play something like the Vel'Koz has been played before. The Mel is available as well. So if you wanted to sort of stay that distance away, maybe the Mel could be the reply, and the Mel is the reply there. I mean, a champion that Demon Trick has played before, and with that reflect as well for the Zoe bubble, I do think that's probably the correct choice there.
Yeah, Mel is a pretty good pick here against the Zoe, and not only the Zoe, they are also gonna counter a little bit of this Emilio and a little bit of this affiliate, not too much, of course. And PJ are thinking about this Sion. They are gonna look it in for that tankiness and probably split push as well. But they were lacking a little bit of tankiness here, so it's nice to see Sion here in the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sion's sort of one of those champions that you can kind of get value based off what you do during the game. So even if you feel like you're 0-2, that sort of push power and if you can crash a wave, TP back to lane, you can create so many problems, and you sort of feel as the opposing top laner like you're falling behind when you didn't quite realize it. But Noah's Legend 7 are going to reply with a tank as well, and they're actually going to lock in the Cho'Gath there. Now, this is something that maybe Gabanis has played a little bit before as well. Definitely someone that likes to play that more tankier role, has played the Shen quite a lot as well. But no surprise that they're going to go tank for tank there. I do think Noah's Legend 7 needed that extra tankiness there. But I'm intrigued to know your thoughts here, Burp. Who do you sort of think has come out on top in this draft?
That is a really interesting and really hard question right here. All over, I do think Null is do have the harder champion pool to or the team to play. So in easiness of execution, I do think PJ have the better choice here. But I do think that Null is gonna get on top during this game if they know how to play the champions correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's an interesting narrative behind this game, right? Because it's sort of the storyline is that Noah's Legend 7 are under pressure. And one bad draft and one bad game could sort of put them under more pressure and, potentially have them drop into the lower brackets we discussed earlier. But Purple Jackets sort of have nothing to lose here. I mean, that dynamic could really change a game. Do you think Purple Jacket will sort of take their foot off the gas, or do you think they sort of need to keep pushing further and sort of create that dominance going into this next these playoffs really?
I do think that the Purple Jacket need to have their foot on the gas. If they do have their foot on the gas, they manage to beat Null now. They are gonna be pretty hyped and probably have a pretty good chance to beat Null as well in the best of five in the lower bracket. But we will see how Purple Jacket is going to go forward with this. Of course, I do think they are going to have more gas in their tanks right now. They are going to think like, okay, maybe we do our best. It's not that important if we win or lose, but we are going to go for this, win whatever. Maybe we can even beat Null and get them next week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going into this game, I really want to focus on the bot lane here because I do think the matchups are incredibly interesting here. Now, we sort of spoke about the lane presence and the lane dominance really of the Ashe and the Seraphine, how and the trouble that can cause. But I think the Milio is a really interesting pick here, not just for the cleanse alone, but also for the fact that the Ultra Mega Fire Kick, the Q early on, is a really underrated skill that people sort of don't realize the damage and trouble it causes during lanes. It can sort of push you back from the wave. It can essentially stop you from pushing, stop you from freezing. How do you think No One's Legend 7 need to play this bot lane going into such a difficult bully combo like the Ashe and the Seraphine?
That is a really, really good question. I do think that Null just need to play for level 6, and after level 6, I do think that this bot lane is gonna pull out with the victory on top. Of course, if they do have a chance of getting a gank level 3 or 4 or somewhere around there from the Jarvan, they are, of course, gonna try to look. But of course, I do think that both junglers are gonna path it towards bot. These both teams are pretty heavy on their bot lane to win. Whichever bot lane wins this game, they are gonna probably pull out on top. But as we already said, the Ash Seraphine is a pretty bullying lane, so they just need to have that high pressure early. Maybe even get Null to push under tower for a level 3, level 4 gank from the Sin Sao, managing to get a pretty good lead here. So I think PJ needs to have their gas in bot lane. They need to be aggressive. Null needs to play a little bit more safe, play for level 6, and after that they can pop off.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's going to be an interesting dynamic across the game, really. I mean, we sort of spoke on it earlier, but I do think PJ is sort of going for that stronger skirmish comp, building up the tempo a little bit. They do probably have a stronger mid game. They've got a relatively hard engage, right? I mean, the Scion and the Zin. and then the pick potential with the maybe the deflect from a Zoe bubble, from the Mel. But there's a lot of follow up as well, with the Ash and then the Seraphine as well. But then on the opposing side as well, there's a lot of pick potential for Noah's Legend 7, right? And a lot of different ways they can go about team fights. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be chaos. I think we often find that in most of our games, there's a lot of chaos that happens. But maybe PJ might be a little bit more proactive. Do you think Purple Jacket will focus a lot on objectives in the early game and maybe Noah's Legend 7 will look to scale with the Aphelios? Or do you think there'll be a lot of organized chaos around those early objectives?
I do think that the better choice here is to give Purple Jacket their few like first Drake, maybe even second Drake for Grubs and Rift, as Aphelios isn't really that strong early, and maybe mid to late they are gonna try to fight more for these objectives in the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see what happens as we get into game really soon. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on what you think about the draft. But I do think this mid matchup could be an interesting one, right? Zoe does sort of outrange the Mel, and it kind of threatens that pick quite constant. But I do think Mel offers that bit more safe utility here. So considering that, and this middle in battle, how do you expect Insignia driver for Noah's Legend 7 to play this lane? Do you expect him to be on the aggressor or and maybe stop the potential, roams of the Mel, or do you think the Zoe will be the one to be sort of shoving the wave in and getting and looking for roams early?
That is a really good question. Both of these laners are gonna have pretty good wave clear. I do think that Zoe is gonna have a little bit more run timers. Probably not gonna use a lot of these run timers to the maximum, sadly, as Mel is quite big wave clear as well and pretty good at punishing robs from the Zoe. So it is going to be quite interesting this lane in mid lane. I don't know really how it's going to go, but we are in game and we are going to be ready to see how this game one is going to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, it's the last game of the regular split. No One's Legend 7 have a lot of pressure on them today. Purple Jacket can take the foot off the gas, as we said before, but we'll see what happens as we get into game. Looking like both teams are going to sort of go for that sort of 5-point lineup early. No One's Legend 7 played a little bit more defensively, recognizing that, trying to get that early ward in. Gotham we spit and Casper the Ghost. Yeah, I'm just going to place a ward, just get that knowledge. Information is so key, as we all know, especially to a jungler and especially as in Zhao here. But doesn't mean that they're not going to reply right back a Purple Jacket here. But there's already a scrap in the top lane, Burp. Garbanius and Zionchan going straight at Trevor already. Now, the one thing to remember is don't forget the passive on Sion. If he goes down early, it doesn't mean that it's over just yet. Garbanius, though, using those spikes, using that advantage in the early game to create trouble. I think this top lane could actually be a surprising one to watch here, Burp.
Yeah, this top lane is quite interesting to watch. It's gonna be a fist fight for sure. I do see that the bot lane here from Null is a little bit more aggressive than what I would believe it was gonna be early, but it might pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. Already this poke is coming through from this bot lane, though. This Seraphine Ash is doing as much damage as possible. The high note from Seraphine does a surprising amount of damage. And quite clearly, it's becoming a bit of trouble here in this early game. But Gabanius is just going to hit the Rupture onto Cyan there. Not going to take him down just yet, though. It's going to be a decimating smash hitting down, and Gabanius is already just below quarter HP now. And Christie and Gothenjoy are doing so much damage here. Gotham is going to be forced to use the heal here already in this early game. So this bot lane is getting sort of pushed in quite heavily here. I think we might expect Jarvan to path down. But speaking of the Jarvan, he's going to jump in onto the mid lane here. Bubble actually lands. The Drowsy has now landed. Q comes in. Ignite goes down. Last auto attack. And his Signia driver picks up the first kill. Uses the flash from the W. And escapes there. Brilliantly played. And the rupture is from Garbanius as well. And down goes Cyan. Like 2 kills in the space of 2 minutes. Garbanius might be able to walk away here. But wow, Noah's Legend 7 are saying what pressure?
Yeah, what a play all across the map right here. And I am gonna point out that Aphelios is gonna have the new item as well for the bot laners here. I do not remember the name of it, sadly. But it's gonna be quite interesting to see how this new item is on Aphelios as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how that plays out there. But already, like I said, being shoved in earlier, that heal being used is quite a big sort of factor to use, especially in this early game. But Gotham, Spit, and Matufa and Casper are recognizing that they potentially have a gank opportunity here. But nice vision there by Critzy to be able to force that away. TP already used it in the top lane as well. That is no sums now for Garbanius, already putting himself in a bit more of a difficult spot. The Q actually lands onto Goth Enjoyer there, and this Q system, the passive landed, but it just means that he's going to be able to walk away here. Casper the Ghost is just kind of being that little bit more threatening here. But Drake is spawning in 1 minute 20. There's a little bit more of an advantage in this bot lane. Now, neither top laner has the TP. How do you think this will play out here for this Drake?
I'm not sure. Apparently, I was wrong with this bot lane. Aphelios and Milio is gonna poke out this Ashe and Seraphine quite a lot. We do see a lot of fighting top lane here too. As you did say, none of the top laners do have the teleport as well for this Drake. But it's gonna be quite interesting to see how both junglers are gonna play for it, as both junglers are currently in mid lane.
Yeah, both junglers are currently sitting in mid lane. Has been spotted out though, has lazy, so he's just going to take away the vision there. Matufa knowing he's there, getting that information. Cyanchan's going to be forced just down into the river here as Garbanius walks up to try get vision. Pops his spikes ready to go. The shield comes out from Scion, the Soul Furnace. Not going to opt to use the Decimator Smash, but Garbanius is trying to do as much damage as possible. We'll be relatively close to level 6 here, so maybe looking for that chomp early on. The Signia driver in a bit of a compromised position here, though. Brilliant reflect by Demon Trick as the bubble lands. Going to be forced to use Flash there, but Mel hitting a brilliant solo snare, and Critzy and Demon Trick taking down Insignia driver, and it's a reply from the Mel in the mid lane.
Yeah, what a reflect there by Mel, managing to sleep Zoe, and a nice timing by the Seraphine there, managing to have an amazing gank, getting up the kill, and maybe even the Drake over to JP.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that puts him in a very, very good position there, as you rightly pointed out, Burp. I mean, the Drake is now up and available to grab. But it doesn't mean that the Jarvan is there just yet, and neither is the Xin Zhao. Lazy and Jarvan sort of both pathing towards that way, but Gotham is spitting Casper, as you rightly pointed out, poking away this Ashe and Seraphine very, very well. Critzy is going to land that ability, but it doesn't matter because Lazy's here to try help out here. Just misses the W onto Gotham with Spit. Going to be forced to flash. The barrier comes out. Thoughts he kills him, but doesn't just yet. Finally takes him down. Critzy going to land the Q onto Casper. We're going to be able to walk away. Matufa hovering in the wings patiently, but really nice play there. Really nice combo by the jungle and the bot lane.
Yeah, nice play here, but sadly the bot lane and Xin Zhao is going to be a little bit low. As the sleep hits, what a damage.
The radiant... Sorry, the Q from Zoe doing so much damage there. He's going to take down the Ashe, but he's going to pay for his life as Critzy takes him down. Matufa here now. Brilliant dodge there by Lazy. Not going to matter though because the heal comes out from Critzy. Going to try and knock him up in the air, try stopping taking him down. He does actually do that. Matufa walks away with no kill. And they're now up on kills. PJ.
Yeah, a lot is happening here. I'm not really sure. At least Xin Zhao is quite low, trying to take jungle here. J4 is gonna clear as well up towards topside. Drake is not gonna be taken yet. I wonder how long this Drake is gonna manage to live.
Yeah, I'm really surprised here, Bert, because I feel like there's been a couple of opportunities for both teams, really, to sort of create pressure. I mean, you rightly mentioned earlier, this Ashe and Seraphine has been surprisingly shoved in here by Gotham, Spit and Casper. But there's opportunities for the Drake. I mean, we've seen the Zoe roam down, we've seen the Zoe shove the lane in, and now you've got the opportunity here. But your jungler's pathing towards the top lane. It looks like they may be looking to get these grubs instead of this Drake here.
Yeah, J4 is currently on top side, but Sin Sao is in bot trying to get yet another pick here, maybe going into Draken.
Yeah, I mean, the pink ward did get taken out there in the river on the Phaelite by Insignia driver, so just trying to deny as much vision as possible. They do actually know that he's there, dude, bot lane, so Gotham, Spit, and Casper doing a nice job of just recognising the opportunities that they may be trying to create here with PJ. Sion-Chan's going to be trying to push his top lane here, and this is what I mentioned with the Sion. Just creates trouble for you, and Garbani's doing a really nice job of trying to sort of kite round him, hit those spikes. Sion-Chan nicely dodging the rupture there. Garbanius, though, isn't going to put down this fight anytime soon because he knows Matufa's patiently waiting, ready to now collapse onto Sion-Chan. Going to be forced of going to the bush. Does actually decide to use the ultimate there. And Unstoppable Onslaught's just going to take him into the tower. He's going to take a tower shot, be able to walk away here. And I don't think they're actually going to do anything here. Just going to be able to base immediately. But Sion-Chan wants the wave. He doesn't even care, Berth.
Yeah, that is a boss moment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely a boss moment, but we'll focus on that soon. As Matufa nicely played Demacian standard into Dragon Strike and just gets away with a beautiful combo. Unfortunately, the Seraphine missing the encore there. Sion-Chan is going to get executed. So nicely done there. It takes away the rest of the team from these grubs, and it just means that Purple Jacket are now going to get these grubs for free.
Yeah, they are gonna get the grub for free, not even trading in the bot lane or Drake. This is pretty good for PJ.
Absolutely. I mean, Sion-Chan did a really good job there. I mean, a lot of people might have backed there, but decided not to and just drew 2 or 3 members from NOL7 away from those grubs. And as you rightly pointed out, but not even trading the bot lane either. Nothing came from that, really. Garbanius is going to hit a rupture onto Sion-Chan as the Decimated Smash comes out. But in comes a Cataclysm onto Critzy, going to be forced to use the Flash to fight in the top lane, though, and to fight in the mid lane. It's going crazy everywhere. In comes a Reflected Ultra Mega Fire Kick going to land. But there's a fight in the top lane now because Lazy... Oh, he's going to actually decide to walk away instead. Garbanius falling low. But it doesn't mean the rest of NOL7 are going to be stopping to prioritize their objectives here. Lost out on the grubs and now looking for the Drake here.
Yeah, Drake looks like it's gonna try to go over to Null here, but of course PJ is not gonna try to give this for free as they are moving in.
They are moving in indeed, but the point out Lazy is in the top lane, so there's no jungle smite fight here. A brilliant Q from Insignia Driver going to land. Will the Ignite take him down? It won't just yet. Demon Trick survives with a slither of his health there. Brilliantly played there from Insignia Driver, and that paddle star is doing so much damage here, Burp.
Yeah, a lot of damage here. Mel barely managing to survive. I was really believing Mel would go down there, but somehow managing to survive on 1 tick of damage. What a play, but at least Null did get the Drake, so they did get something, even though they lost the grubs.
Yeah, absolutely rightly pointed out there. They'll point out they are heading gold now as well, only by 400 gold, but I mean, climbing their way back up in this game. Did fall behind on kills, but clearly just prioritizing the objectives elsewhere now. Critzy going to fall really low, and a brilliant E. In comes the Mel as well to hit a solo snare. Critzy running for his life. You won't get away from the Jarvan. The flag comes down into the spine of the Seraphine, and down goes Critzy.
Yeah, what a play. Apparently, Sin when top lane is gonna go down as well. Or not, that was the one going down. I'm not completely paying attention, I'm sorry. But it is still looking pretty nice for both teams here. Not a biggest goal lead, as it's roughly 1k over to Null.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as the fight in the mid lane, there's a fight in the top lane. Organized chaos is describing this game exactly what it is. Garbanius here is going to run straight into a Sion. As the Sion-Chan does actually decide to use Unstoppable Onslaught in the top lane. Casper the Ghost, we're going to have to walk away here. Going to be forced to flash. No Enchanted Chrysalara available there for Gothinjoy, being able to stop him there. But 2 levels in this top lane, Burp. Sion-Chan is so far behind.
Yeah, 2 levels behind here. Shogun is doing brilliant in this top lane, stopping all of this good debts, making them bad debts, and somehow managing to have this huge of a farm lead on to this Sion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think what's really important to point out is that Cho'Gath does have that better sustaining lane, right? And if the Scion isn't allowed to proxy, isn't allowed to roam, then it's so difficult for him to grow into the game in the same way that Cho'Gath can. Garbanis is doing a really good job of just constantly applying pressure in this top lane, using those spikes to create damage. Anytime the decimated smash comes out, uses the rupture to immediately stop it, stop the full damage coming out. And he's been allowed to feast, been allowed to shove the wave, and been allowed to trade exactly as he is now. Chan going to miss a rupture, and that's a quarter of his HP gone from one individual feast. But we'll focus on the bot lane now because Goffinjoy and Critzy are now asserting their dominance on the bot lane as down goes Casper. But Insignia Driver, a bubble from downtown, just misses by the sliver of the few pixels here. But Goffinjoy and Critzy bringing themselves back.
Yeah, it is looking better and better here, but what a ult by the Seraphine, barely managing to get the Melio as well. Melio had ult up, but could not do anything about it. Getting yet a kill over to this Ashe, it is a menace, it is a lot of action across the map, but it is what we want to see as casters.
Absolutely, you're right, rightly so to say that. But already a close game as we predicted here. Already both teams going toe to toe all across the map. Lazy here, gonna just run down into the tri-bush here, try and make something happen. Just as the ward goes down, so we'll actually spot him here with vision. Now I want to point out that they are doing a really nice job here, and NOL's Legend 7 are just creating different pockets of vision here, making it difficult for them to get anywhere. But speaking of trouble here, Cyan seeing even more trouble as in comes the jab and misses the decimating smash. Tries getting something, anything, just a wave, because he's going to fall to Garbanius yet again. This is an 0-5 Scion here, Burp.
Yeah, 0-5, not really any good deaths, maybe 1 or 2 of them. Shogat is 4-0. Oh, so this is going to be a quite interesting game as Shogat is growing even bigger with his ult and probably is going to take this game with Storm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we mentioned how much of a force a Scion can become if he grows into the game, but the Cho'Gath's done exactly that here, grown so much in this game. Now, Lazy going to get spotted out on a ward again, and that's that vision I'm talking about, doing so well in Noah's Legend 7, of establishing vision in the places that are difficult to identify potential ganks, but they're doing a really nice job of it here, Burp.
Yeah, they are doing a really, really good job. But I do see that the Drake have been spawned in bot lane, and both junglers are here ready to try to take the Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like it's going to be a big fight around this Ocean Drake, second Drake in the game. There's another fight in the top lane, though. Just rupture and spike after spike. The feast lands, but doesn't quite take him down. The Crescent Guard comes out, Lazy jumping onto Insignia Driver, but the Cataclysm comes in. Brilliant encore there by Seraphine, going to be forced to flash away. Critzy taking so much damage. Insignia Driver flashes in, misses the ult attack, cancels it, the ult comes out as well, but down goes Lazy. Critzy going to walk away by just a slither of HP. Goffinjoy now hitting a brilliant chance of Crystal Arrow, and the Mel TP's in to save the day. It's a double kill for Demon Trick. The final Q and the ultimate comes down.
What a play. I don't know how the Seraphine managed to live that long, but we have miracles all across the map for PJ right here. What a play by the Demon Truck as well, managing to teleport in there and cleaning up all of them. Holy shit. Even Shogat in the top lane went down there too.
Absolutely. I mean, now when we thought Noah's Legend 7 were just slowly running away with this game, Purple Jacket bring themselves back into it, put the pressure on them, and now it's becoming a little bit more difficult here. That is a Drake for Drake now. The Ocean Drake picked up here by Purple Jacket, and there's some really, really big items being finished here. I mean, we can see it all across the board. You know, this is a 2-item Ashe here, almost a 2-item Mel. There's 6 stacks in the Dark Seal. You've got to wonder, are Noah's Legend 7 letting it slip away from them, or is there still a lot of hope here, Burp?
I do think there's still a lot of hope here. Anything can happen, of course. NOL is gonna take down this tower, get himself a little bit more of gold here. But the Rift is up. But I do think that whoever I did say earlier, whoever bot lane wins is gonna win the game. So far, this Ashe Seraphine is quite dangerous, but of course, Solo can turn this game around.
Absolutely, rightly so. I mean, there's always opportunity to turn this game around. We mentioned how far ahead this Cho'Gath is. This Cho'Gath could be the dominant force they need, could be the one to run the game here. Rift Herald now available. The Jarvan Matufa is hovering around there, knows there is an opportunity to get a really important objective here. And just to speak about objectives, this top tower is going to get taken down by Cyan Chan. Feasted away here, but this is what I mean about the Cyan. Although the Garbanas is a huge lead, still just kind of getting value across the map. And it kind of becomes a problem as it gets to the late game.
Yeah, it could be a pretty huge of a problem as we go during the game here. As Shogun is 5-1 right now with, I don't know how many stacks Shogun have right now. Can we maybe, oh, okay.
Oh, Enchanter Crystallara just dodging immediately, but nice rupture there. Cataclysm going to jump onto it as well. The bubble comes in and Critzy takes down Matufa, but down he goes as well. And Garbani is here doing everything he can to try 1v2 here. Lazy going to try finish off this Swift Herald, but can't just do that just yet because Garbani is just damaging him, doing so much trouble to him. Shut down here now as well as the Melfalls. Gothenjoy now on a killing spree. Critzy, the rupture lands and you are not getting away from Garbanius. This is a 7-1 Cho'Gath, 200 stacks in the Dark Seal, on the Heart Steel. Gothenjoy using that Q, using all of his stuff to try and just create pressure. Actually gets the kill there as well. Big shutdown onto him as well. Gothmami Spit going to just flash over the wall there, and that was chaos, Burp.
Yeah, that was quite a lot of chaos. But I don't know how that Asher hit Matufa in the Rift Pit, even though it missed mid lane. Something went wrong there within the calls on Null sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was so close to hitting in the mid lane, but just narrowly avoided. Made its way to the jungle pit and sort of helped out quite a lot, really. But this Ashe is a huge lead now. I mean, if we can take a look at the gold on individual champions, we can see nearly 3,000, or what is over 3,000 gold ahead of this Aphelios. Now, Aphelios, a champion that wants to scale into the mid game, wants to get into the late game. When you're so far behind, you've got to wonder, what do you do from here?
Yeah, that is really a hard question to answer. Probably needs to get this shutdown on to Aphelios if they are gonna have that good of a chance. If not, they just need to drag this game out to 50 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's another fight potentially going in the middle in here. As just as I say that, the Cataclysm lands, the Encore hits just as Matufa jumps into the pit. A W lands from Lazy. Lazy going to be forced to jump away, but the Enchanter Crystallara snipes him. American Sniper, eat your heart out. And it's a triple kill here for Goth Enjoyer. And wow, Purple Jacket are doing so much here.
Yeah, what a play by Purple Jacket right here. They are just insanely good with these Ashers as well. They are landing all across the map. It doesn't matter where Ash is standing, somebody is gonna get hit.
Absolutely, someone is going to get hit, and unfortunately for Matu, for that time, it was indeed him. But doing so much here now at Purple Jacket, just creating chaos across the map, and Garbanas isn't able to be everywhere all at once. Now Cyan Chan is slowly bringing himself back into this game out. There's 4 members top lane, and it means that Demon Trick here is just going to get a free push in the bot lane. Cyan Chan is going to be forced to fall it. Actually flashes over the walls, who escapes it, and forces 4 members top lane. And just as we're saying that, the Drake is spawning in a second now, and it just means it's going to be a second Drake here for Purple Jacket. So really nicely played here.
Yeah, really, really nice play here. Zion pulling 4 people in top lane as Drake is spawning. I don't really think that Nola did pay attention to Drake timers right here, as Purple Jacket is gonna get himself a free Drake, as it's their second Drake of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as you said, it's a second Drake of the game here. That is a Mountain Soul, or potentially on the way here. But just as we say that, There is going to be a bubble hit by Insignia Drive in the mid lane. Just lands a paddle star from quite a distance away. The ignite comes down, and Matufa hits the Cataclysm, and down goes Goth Enjoyer. It shows how much damage they can do and how easy it is to pick off such a champion that is quite immobile here.
Yeah, and I was just gonna point out that the goal lead was 10k roughly over to Purple Jacket's side, but after that one kill, it's already down to only 6k gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, only 6k gold here. Cyanchan and Garbanius, this is really a battle of the beasts here in the top lane. I feel like Garbanius is taking practically no damage here. It's just Spike Central. Cyanchan trying to hit every decimated smash. But just as we say that, everyone else is sort of drafting towards the top lane. Looking like the Jarvan's actually going to jump in onto Lazy here, going to be forced to use the Crescent Guard. And just like that, Critzy goes down the paddle star from across the map. Brilliant sleepy but trouble bubble here, and Insignia Driver is going to doing so much work here. And now the Baron's available. Garbanius is going to take on Cyanchan here. Might even need to use the feast. Actually does use the feast, and it means it's now a free Drake for NOL's Legend 7. Free Baron, sorry.
Yeah. This is gonna be a free nurture for NOL. It is gonna be pretty huge, but it's not gonna be completely free, as 2 turrets are gonna go down in mid and in bot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like NOL's Legend 7 are trying to assert their dominance on this game. They're bringing back, taking the pressure off themselves, and this is going to be the Baron for them. And when you've got someone like a Sion who's creating so much trouble in that top lane, Burp, you've got to wonder, are NOL's Legend 7, sorry, going to be able to deal with that? Sorry, are Purple Jacket going to be able to deal with that pressure now with this Baron available?
That is gonna be pretty hard for them with the Baron pressure right now. Of course, if they manage to get a few picks, they have gotten a lot from before. They just need to protect this Ashe and protect these lanes, as Purple Jacket already have pushed in a lot of these lanes pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely. Push the lanes in quite hard, but already the Sion is going to the top lane immediately straight away to create chaos in the top lane. Drake not spawning for another 2 minutes here. Matufa is going to spot out Critzy and Lazy, just sort of hovering in his jungle, really. But it doesn't mean that NOL's Legend 7 are out of this game just yet. Now, if you're Purple Jacket in this game, you're creating pressure. If you're NOL's Legend 7, you're defending from the pressure. But what do you think they need to do here, Burp, to sort of win this game?
Oh, that is quite hard. They just need to get more into the late game, get more items onto these Aphelios. These Aphelios can carry the game if they just get far enough into it. Of course, the Sion is going to be a problem the later we go, but I do think that NOL can manage it if they just get the items and the time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be another fight of the beast in the top lane here. Cyanchan and Garbanius just trading abilities, just thanking each other for walking away there. I mean, I feel like it's been the story of this game here is 2 top laners constantly fighting. But just as we say that, Goth Enjoyer and Critzy going to try come up to help out their top lane here. But nicely played by Garbanius to be able to just spot that and walk away. Just as we say that, both teams are going to sort of transition into sort of creating difficult across the map, just try to create pressure elsewhere. Demon Trick going to flash away here, does actually manage to land the snare. And as I say that, there's a kill somehow in the mid lane as down goes the Emilio. The TP's now coming in as well. And this is looking like a game that's sort of kind of chaos across the map that you really struggle to cast here. The Drake now spawning in 20 seconds, both teams setting up for it here. But NOL's Legend 7, they're sort of forced away from it here, Burp.
Yeah, they are forced away from it, but they do have Shogun in the top lane hitting towers here, so they are at least gonna get something out of it. But if a Purple Jacket is gonna get this Drake, they are on Soul Point, which is pretty dangerous for NOL. I would like to see them trying to fight for it, but it's already too late, as this Drake is gonna be deleted from the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be mid-deleted, and that is going to be Soul Point now for Purple Jacket. And now, this puts NOL's Legend 7 at a difficult position. We talked about the leads that they have. This Zoe does do a lot of damage. But this Ash is so far ahead, and we've seen it. If they can't take down Goth Enjoyer in this early game, then they really are going to struggle. Sorry, in these early team fights, they really are going to struggle in sort of winning what they need to do. And they've got such a good pick competition here, but they just can't get onto anyone they want to get onto here, Burb.
Yeah, they are pretty hard to jump on right here. Oh,
Oh, Insignia Driver in a bit of a compromised position here. Gothenjoy going to flash out of the Cataclysm. Takes down 2 already, and he's melting down the rest of the team. Matufa's going to try and walk away. He does actually manage to do it with a flag and drag, but that is a big feast, and down he goes. But the rest of your team is still to fight. Lazy Demon Trick and Critzy just trying to take down this absolute beast of a Cho'Gath. Demon Trick uses the ultimate, takes him down, finding that golden eclipse, just absolutely smashing down on him. And Scion's here to help out now. They're looking to push down the mid lane. Could this be the end of the game here, Burp?
this could be the end of the game. That was maybe the one fight that Purple Jacket needed to end this. They did manage to take down a lot of people. Yes, Ash went down, but the rest of the team is still standing.
The rest of the team is still standing indeed. They're looking for the end. The Zoe's now spawned. Gothmummy Spit has spawned as well. The whole team is alive. Scion Passive is now procced, and he's going for the Nexus. The focus is unfortunately on Lazy, and Lazy going to get taken down as Gothmummy finally gets himself a kill on the board here. Demon Trick just lands a Solar Snare. In comes a brilliant play by Seraphine to hit that beat drop, just root him in place. Matuf hits the flag and drag, and Demon Trick doing another brilliant job of that, hitting that Solar Snare again. They can to Crystal Arrow lands him across the map here, but it doesn't make a difference. And they are walking away, and the Drake spawned in 3 minutes, Baron in a minute, and they did so well there, did Purple Jacket.
Yeah, I am still wondering how Ash is still hitting all of her ults.
Yeah, I mean, it's every ult, right? It's across the map, all across the board. Galbani's going to chase him down, the Rupture just going to miss it, and Gothenjoy are doing such a good job of kiting away this Cho'Gath. And just as I say, that Demon Trick now doing a lot of damage. That Radiant Volley paired with that Solar Snare, just taking down this absolute tank of a Cho'Gath here.
Yeah, Cho'Gath is pretty tanky, is pretty big, but this Mel and this Ash together is gonna manage to delete his health bar. No problem needed here. As we do have a Nashor spawning in roughly 20 seconds here. Maybe Purple Jacket is gonna try to get this. If they manage to get it, I do think it's gonna be game pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it could be game very soon, but Noah's Legend 7 aren't out of this just yet. One pick onto Gothenjoy could change the entire game round. One pick onto Demon Trick could change the entire game round. And with Baron now spawned and now available, we'll see what actually happens here. Casper going to run straight into a Decimated Smash. Matufa comes in to help his support, but it doesn't actually have any damage and nothing to do as Cyan takes him down. Encore going to hit onto Matufa. Does actually land onto Insignia Driver there as well. Going to be forced to flash away now. And that is 2 members taken down by Purple Jacket. Noah's Legend 7 in a really difficult position here. Sleepy Mobile Trouble comes on into the Xin Zhao, and Lazy's going to get jumped on and feasted down. Gothenjoy just trying to kite around everyone possible. The root hits onto Galbanius. He's now quarter HP, but in comes Demon Trick and just absolutely decimates him there. And that Golden Eclipse does so much damage. Insignia Driver and Gotham Spit, you're going to have to fight for your lives here as he just tries to walk away, use the ultimate, but Gothenjoy, thank you very much. That is my kill. Gotham Spit second down as well, and that is game 1 to Purple Jacket.
A lot of action happening all across the game. I don't really know what happened most of the time, but it was so much fighting all across the map. But what a game for Purple Jacket there, managing to take game 1. And I think it's all because of this bot lane as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this bot lane created so much pressure, just so much dominance here in this early game. I mean, we said No One's Legend 7 had a lot of pressure on this game, and Purple Jacket are creating even more pressure. Now, No One's Legend 7 have a mountain to climb here, Burp, but we'll see if they can do it as we head into game 2 soon. Going to take a small little break and just get a drink, recover, but don't go anywhere because this is going to be a banger of a series, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I am pretty excited as well. this is gonna be quite an interesting game. But as I said, whoever won the bot lane is gonna win the game. Purple Jacket did take it away. But we will see you guys after the break.
We are back after an absolutely astounding game one. What a game when you thought Noah's Legend 7 had it. Purple Jacket brought themselves right back into it, and now the pressure is on for Noah's Legend 7. Reminder, they have to win this to go into the upper bracket. If they lose, they unfortunately fall into the lower bracket. But wow, what a game one, Bert.
Yeah, what a game one. A lot of action there, a lot of carrying by as that game. I might have to go to the chiropractor after that one. But we are quite interesting to see how this game number two is gonna go, as we do have null on the blue side this game. We are gonna see maybe if PJ is ready to take this game 2-0, which means they are gonna face NOL7 next week.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if that works out, whether Noah's Legend 7 can sort of deal with the pressure knowing that may play them again next week. Maybe they can come back for that revenge, or maybe they might turn it around. There might be a bit of a remontada. We may see them turn this around. It'd be a complete reverse sweep. We don't know what's going to happen. We will be starting really soon, just getting into draft. Just a small break on the players' side. But I want to hear your thoughts about what potentially No One's Legend 7 are going to look to draft here, Burp. Do you think they'll go for that pick comp again, or do you think they'll go a bit more aggressive and a bit more team fight orientated?
That is a really, really good question. I do think they are gonna go with that he like that pick comp yet again. I feel like that's more of their play style. They just need to execute it a little bit better, maybe have a little bit of a better draft for it. But as I say that we are gonna get into the draft, I do assume we are gonna see roughly the same bands here from both sides, though.
Yeah, absolutely. The Neferi being banned away again, definitely champion. That is definitely something that we've seen. The jungler Purple Jacket, sorry, the top laner Purple Jacket Sion Chan play quite a lot. Definitely champion. That's very annoying to play against. But the Thresh going to be banned away as well, as you rightly mentioned. So as well, we'll see what Noah's Legend 7 decide to do again for the second ban. I would anticipate the relatively same bans as before, but that was going to be the case. It's going to be a Nocturne being taken away here.
Yeah, they did ban the Nocturne last game as well. We did talk about that annoying darkness, but we will see as we go forward if it is gonna be a game three. We are gonna see the Fiddlesticks ban here again. Probably gonna see the Victor, and I cannot remember who the last ban was. I think it was Smolder.
Yeah, I think it was Smolder as well, just because it's definitely a champion that Demon Trick likes to play quite a lot. But they're going to take away an Ezreal here. Now, a champion that Goth Enjoyer loves to play, has a pretty impressive 65% win rate, and is a really strong pick, I guess, in this patch at the moment. Um, but I'm not necessarily surprised if they're looking for that maybe pick composition again, because no one, sorry, the Ezreal is a very, very slippy champion to deal with. And as you pointed out, Burp, it's more their play style to go for that pick composition. So taking away a mobile champion like the Ezreal is probably the way to go.
Yeah, but as we did see, they left Smaller open for themselves the first pick, but 3J said, no, if we don't get to play Smaller, you guys don't get to play it either. But as you said last draft, we do have this power of a Shen in the top lane. Could go jungle or support, but I do assume it's gonna go top lane, as he does play a lot of Shen two times. But are also going to see Corki Nami, a pretty strong bot lane combination here from PJ. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to point out the Shen because it's definitely a champion that Matufo has played quite a lot as well. Probably like one of the third most played champions he has, especially in solo queue. Behind that Fiddlesticks and the Silas. So definitely a really nice sort of flex pick here and puts Purple Jack in a bit of a bit of sort of phrasing some questions here. But they're going to focus on their bot lane for now, as you rightly pointed out. Going to take away. They're going to pick the Corki up, but I mean, this is also another flex pick. Demon Trick definitely. Corki is one of a favourable champion. Can maybe navigate towards that mid lane. And the Nami is a champion that we know Critzy loves to play, loves playing the Enchanter role. But that being said, no one's Legend 7 are going to start to pick their bot lane now. It's going to be the Caitlyn being picked up by Goth Mummy Spit. Now, a champion, again, more favourable for themselves. But that being said, definitely a champion that's probably better into the core key. But I still think they're trying to hold their own, assuming that it could go elsewhere. And just as I say that, they are going to decide to pick up a Braum here. Something that, is relatively solid in the meta at the moment, and pretty strong against the Cork in an army.
Yeah, Brum is a pretty good pick here as well. I don't know how good it's gonna be with the Caitlyn, but we will see. Caitlyn do have quite a lot of range here, quite a lot of poke. So the Nola deciding that, you know what, poke went so good for you guys last game. We are gonna take some poke this time. But we are gonna see the Kane getting locked here for PJ as well. Probably going jungle, but could also be flexed atop. So it is going to be quite an interesting game to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big fan, an absolutely big fan of this Kane. Definitely one of my favorite champions to play. I am a massive Kane enjoyer, so I'm very happy to see this be the case. And I do believe it probably will be a red Kane. Blue Kane doesn't seem like the best right now, and doesn't necessarily scale as well with item on an item based point. But bans for the second phase are going to be to Katarina being banned away from No One's Legend 7. I would expect No One's Legend 7 to reply with another mid laner themselves. We saw a couple last time. That's going to be the case, and that's going to be the Galio being taken away in this second draft phase as well. Purple Jacket still maybe not looking to ban a top laner here, and they're going to carry on that same route and ban away the LeBlanc away from No One's Legend 7. Now, a champion that we've seen a little bit throughout the series as well, and definitely something that we know that that Insignia Driver likes to play, loves to play those carries, loves to play those champions that can sort of execute quickly. We saw it with the Zoe, we've seen the Katarina as well before from him, and the LeBlanc sort of falls into that same boat as well. No One's Legend 7, I'm going to take away the Poppy here, so that is going to be a top lane ban, and definitely something that Gabanez likes to play, and Poppy's pretty excellent in the meta right now. So what do you think Purple Jacket are going to pick here, Burp?
I am not sure what Purple Jacket is gonna pick. Syndra is still open, Victor is still open. I don't know how they are gonna go in towards that comp though. They are gonna pick a Gwen, a tank killer in the top lane against Shen. A pretty good pick. I do wonder if we're gonna see something like maybe Oriana here from NOL7. We are actually gonna see the Ambessa in the jungle. But as that's just my assumption. They could swap around Ambessa and Shen, but we are going to see the Lissandra ban, pick here from NOL7 on to the mid lane. So PJ is going to have the counter pick. I'm not really sure what can counter this Lissandra though, as Lissandra do have a lot of escapes with that E as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe anticipate something like a Zeref or a Victor, maybe. But I mean, I think this is a Corky mid lane by the looks of it, potentially. I'm not really sure what Purple Jacket decided to opt for here. It's looking like potentially a Gwen mid, Udyr top, Kane jungle. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see what happens here. But I want to touch on the Ambessa and the Shen. I do actually think it's going to be an Ambessa top lane here and the Shen in the jungle. The reason being for that is definitely a champion that Matufa likes to play is the Shen. Has seen play a little bit in the past as well, and now with the Expetu sort of build that came out with the Guardian as well. It was a really strong build and sort of like that mathematically correct Shen that came out, and you did a lot of damage here. But now it's sort of shifted to that Titanic Hydra build and does do a lot of damage here. So I do think that'll be the case, but we do have some confirmation on what it's going to be. But it's going to be the Udyr in the mid lane and the Gwen in the top lane.
Yeah, I did not get to throw out my guess before we got the confirmation, but it is gonna be Gwen in the top and Udyr in the mid. Gonna be quite interesting. If they decide to go with Shen in the top lane, I did not see any confirmation of that one. Uh, Gwen is pretty good into Shen, probably better than into Ambessa. But I do think Gwen top here is a pretty good pick. But the Udyr mid is a quite interesting pick here from PJ.
Yeah, not something I've seen quite a lot, to be honest with you. I've not seen the Udi being played a whole lot really here. But we'll see what's going to happen. And I'm a little bit confused here what's happening. We'll see any moment if they're going to lock what they're locking in. It looks like Galbanias is going to take the Ambassador, as we're aware, and Matufa is going to take the Shen in the jungle. So something sort of predicted here again. Something Matufa likes to play quite a lot here. Now you mentioned about this top lane, how it can be a little bit difficult for Ambessa. I want to sort of focus on this mid lane, right? Because as Alessandra, you are going to create pressure on this Udia, right? But if you are an Udia, how do you play this game?
Uh, that is what I'm trying to think, and I figure out right now. I do think Udyr is gonna get outpoked quite easily in this lane, so I don't really understand this Udyr pick. But who knows? Maybe they know something that I don't, or they do know something I don't know. As they counterpicked Udyr into the Sandra with the tankiest player in the mid lane, which we don't really see an untraditional mid lane being the tankiest player. But we will see how this all pays out. I am quite interesting to see how this mid lane is gonna look out. But I do think Lissandra is gonna have the kill pressure here. At least the wave clear. Probably gonna poke out this Udyr quite a lot. So it's gonna be an interesting game. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think maybe Purple Jacket is sort of looking for that a little bit easier execution, really. Sorry, no 7 looking for that easier execution with the composition. Um, there's a lot of dive potential. The Braum, Lysandra, and then sort of the global pressure with the Shen as well. Um, Kind of creates a bit of difficulty for Purple Jacket, really. But that being said, Purple Jacket are kind of gone for the little bit. I guess skirmishy comp here. The Gwen obviously going to kind of rip through this Shen early game, and I do think the one thing Purple Jacket will look for is those extended fights. Corky becomes an absolute poke monster and can sort of sit on the back line, but Kane thrives so well in these extended fights here. So I would expect maybe Purple Jacket to looking to create side pressure, looking to sort of create that organized chaos, those messy skirmishes, and sort of split the fight a little bit. But that being said, as I mentioned before, it's looking like NOL7 want to be a bit more typical and look for those typical catch and collapse sort of comps. That being said, do you think NOL7 have a good advantage here in the draft, or do you think Purple Jacket are sort of going to be able to create the organized chaos to want to create?
That is a really good question here. I do think that in the laning phase, Null is gonna be quite strong in most lanes. I do think this this Ambessa is gonna struggle a little bit into this Gwen, but besides that, I do think Null is gonna win most of their lanes. But PJ with his monster of a draft, I do think is gonna have a lot of pressure the later we go. As you said, Corki is a quite strong ADC, managing to stay in that backline and just dealing a lot of damage. Having the front line of Udiri, Gwen, and the Kane is gonna be quite crucial here. So it is gonna be a quite interesting game. I do think it's gonna be a lot closer here, but I am quite interested in this mid lane as we have seen before. Both of these teams and both of these two mid laners is a lot of carry mid laners. They like to pull their team on the back and run across the map into the enemy team and kill that nexus. But we will see how it all pays out as we soon are in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Udi, you rightly pointed out, Udi can be difficult once he gets to sustain late game and does get like out DPS by a lot. But that being said, he can shove and push in lanes, create that side pressure. I would expect that to be the case. Now, I want to touch on this Kane just before we get into the game because I think what's really important to focus on is everything depends on your form timing. If you can get that early form, you become a really scary composition. If you get that early lead, it becomes really difficult to deal with someone like a Kane. if that form gets delayed, you don't quite get the points where you need them. You don't quite get the red form when you want the red form, and you get blue points instead. Then your composition sort of starts to collapse towards the mid game, and that's something that really PJ don't want to happen here. They want to sort of create that chaos and get that lead. So I do think it's going to be really important here for Lazy to really focus on his pathing here and make sure that he's getting the form that he wants.
Yeah, he is gonna have a lot of potential to get the form that he wants. We are gonna see the war in the Raptors on both sides here, as we did see last game as well.
Oh, flash over the wall. Demon Trick is going to get just exhausted here as well. And it's a first blood already here for Insignia Driver. And Demon Trick put himself in a compromised position there. And not what you want to see if you are in this Udyr mid lane. But Galbanis is going to just have a little scrap again with the Scion channel. We saw this a lot in the first game. But already, TP didn't use his flash there. But that is not what you want as in melee into this range mid lane.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was afraid of. This Lysandra is already leading in farm and in with that kill in the gold, and it's not what you want to see on from this Udyr. As Brum did use flash exhaust, so the bot lane on PJ is gonna have kill pressure, but I don't think it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, Lazy looking like he is pathing towards that bot lane. Now, probably wants the red form in this game, but we're going to focus on the bot lane for now because Gothenjoy and Critzy taking a lot of damage here. Gotham Spit and Casper doing a lot of damage towards this bot lane. I mean, the Brawn passive just creates so much chaos and just becomes difficult to deal with here. That being said, it looks like we're going to see probably a pretty aggressive bot lane here from both teams here, Burp.
Yeah, both bot laners are gonna be quite aggressive, as we already see.
Yeah, already scrapping. A heal comes out already. Gotham is bit falling really low here. The bubble just misses, but in comes the barrier. The final headshot lands. It does take him down here. Critz, he's not going to be able to just take down Casper just yet. Doesn't have the bubble just available. Hits these summon areas. Autoat comes in. Doesn't have the flash available just yet. The bubble lands, but no, sorry, doesn't land. It just misses by a slither. And it's going to be a 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
Yeah, 1-for-1 in the bot lane. Sadly, the Nami did get the kill, so the Caitlyn is gonna be quite happy with that so far. And Brum already with these 2 assists, and Caitlyn with the assist early. They are looking pretty strong, and yet again, God Mommy is gonna go with his new ADC item.
Yeah, clearly definitely a fan of this. But speaking of scrapping already, Galvanius doing a lot of damage here to this Gwen in the top lane. Having to just force her back. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, it's difficult for the Gwen to play into the Ambassador. Gwen really favours those sort of tank fights, just trying to push him down, trying to do as much damage as possible here. And not necessarily something you want to skirmish with is the Ambassador in this early game especially. So I'm intrigued to see how they play this out. Matufa here now in a bit of a difficult position to get collapsed on by Lazy. Lazy and Critzy, the bubbles are not going to land because the flash is going to be used. And that is a brilliant summoner being taken away from the Shen.
Yeah, Shen now without flash might cost him an objective here soon. Drake is gonna spawn in 1:15 roughly, so it is gonna be quite interesting to see it. Caitlyn and Brum do have the pressure here in the bot lane, so we will see if Null maybe gets a first objective here.
Absolutely, but just as we speak about kills and objectives, another kill happens and Insignia Driver takes down Demon Trick. This is an 0-2 Udyr now, but there's a fight in the bottom and a beautiful bubble lands onto 2 members and Lazy takes down Goth Mummy Spit. Gothenjoy just W's over now to try hit him and the auto attack lands and Goth for Goth and the Goth in Mummy Spit falls down and Gothenjoy comes out on top there and that is 2 kills for a reply in the bot lane.
Yeah, that is a lot of comms. Almost like you're losing me at least in those comms. But it's not the worst thing for Null's side. Of course, it is a little bit bad that they go
Ooh, the
down.
fight in the top lane. Cyan taking a lot of damage here, and he's not going to be able to escape here because Garbanis has so much damage. Matufa came in to try and lend a helping hand, but it didn't be needed there because Garbanis doing so much damage in this top lane. And this lane's going to be frozen as well, and it's going to be really difficult for Cyan to try and bring himself back when Garbanis is building up a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, PJ is already on Drake here as well.
Oh, PJ is on Drake here as well, but already they're on top of this this Nami here, and Kritz is going to fall. Brilliantly played there, and it's looking at PJ in a difficult position. Lazy trying to do as much damage as possible, trying to get those stacks, but Demon Trick is here to try help out, flash away, and it just means that NOL7 are going to be able to go on this Drake now.
Yeah, NOL did have a pretty good pick here, going up on this Nami, I believe it was, in the jungle, managing to get that pick. Sadly, Kane had to go off Drake, managing to get them self on the Drake, getting the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. In came the needlework in the top lane though. So Cyan's just trying to shove this way now, just sort of push Garbanis away, just try to create a little bit of pressure and a little bit of safety for himself here. But just to say that Garbanis is going to just shove forward and stop that from potentially happening here. And already there's fights across the map in this game. The game is incredibly close already, but it looks like NOL7 are taking a bit of a lead here. Cyan's going to jump onto Garbanis here, does have the ult available, doesn't actually opt to use it just yet. Uses it finally, that public execution, executing Gwen here in the top lane. And Cyan is struggling already.
Yeah, but if we take some attention to the mid lane here as well, look at that farm diff. Lissandra is up 20 farm and is 3-0 against this 0-2 Udyr in mid lane.
Absolutely rightly pointed out, and this Udyr is in a bit of a difficult position here, looking like Corki and Kane are going to be the primary focus of bringing Purple Jacket back into this game. That being said, although NOL7 are pulling away with a little bit of a lead here in this early game, doesn't mean it's over yet. It's anyone's game and all to play for. Casper is a little bit behind in this bot lane, just under half a level behind here. But Gothmummy Spit and Casper are an interesting duo together because they're already trying to create pressure across the map. But that being said, do you expect Casper and Gothmummy Spit to sort of be able to deal with the pressure from the Kane, from the Gwen in the late game? Or do you think that NOL7 have the peel ability to sort of prevent that?
I'm gonna let you go about this fight.
There is a fight. It's not happening though for Cyan, so we could focus back on the bot lane for now. Oh no, Garbanis is going in now. The W procs. Gwen is immune temporarily, but Cyan stepping up, not afraid. Does have the snip available. The W brilliantly played by Garbanis. That repudiation. But Lazy is sitting patiently. In comes the ult from the Shen. Brilliantly played by Insignia Driver. Taunt comes down as well. Lazy gonna be able to use the ultimate. Insignia Driver's now on a rampage. Doesn't have flash available. Does the Shen Q's away? Goes through the wall. But oh no, my friend, when you get damaged, you get pulled right back. And this is a 5-0 Lissandra.
Oh, what a game. Lissandra is currently popping off. But to go back to your question, I do think that NOL is having a quite big lead. Last game, PJ's bot lane had an even bigger lead at this point, pulling out the victory. But this game might be all about this Lissandra.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking like that definitely could be the case here already. I mean, with pulling away, if we look at the individual gold leads here, we'll see that, you know, this Lissandra is so far ahead already, 2,500 gold ahead. And look at the farm difference, as you pointed out earlier, Burp. Just sitting comfortably, nearly the 30-40 CS up on this Udyr. And the one thing I want to point out is the jungle matchup is a lot closer than you think. Matufa is not that far behind here, as Lazy Nan is not going to be there to help here as the jungler comes in to Cyan on the top lane. Flash Taunt comes in, brilliantly played. Cyan's going to E away, uses the needles to escape and does exactly do that. Uses everything possible to do as much damage as Garbanis got a little bit too deep here and it's a shutdown for the Gwen.
Yeah, I do think that the Garbanius is a little bit too cocky there. Managed to take a turret shot as to try to take down the Gwen. He probably should have just taken the handshake. Okay, we did do a good trade. But now he's not only gonna lose himself, he's also gonna lose at least 2 plates here.
Yeah, definitely gonna lose 2 plates, and that's such an important kill for Cyan here. Needs to get himself back into this game and done exactly that here. Just Garbanius oversteps a little bit too much, just steps up a little bit too close to the tower, takes an extra shot, and that's a big shutdown for the Gwen here. Going to be able to get to that first item a little bit quicker here, and probably will on the base as well. Just as we say that the Drake is spawning in 30 seconds now, it's going to be a Cloud Drake for the first Drake. I'd expect both teams to sort of transition now to this Drake, but I do feel like NOL7 have a little bit more of an advantage here for this early Drake.
Yeah, Null definitely have the more pressure. They do have the lead in the bot lane. They do have a huge lead in the mid lane. So this Drake is gonna be probably going to NOL7, but we will never know, as Kane is currently walking down towards his bot side, and Shen is already pinging this Drake. They want to have all the objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a constant fighting in this top lane, but I want to talk about this mid lane, right? Because we know Lissandra has a huge lead. But the one thing I want to point out is Udyr sort of stays useful throughout the game. His kit kind of gives him that value that without really needing a gold lead, and just has so much utility, so much durability that he just becomes a presence throughout the game, really. And behind Udyr, he's still that giant bear that just sprints at you. So I do expect to see maybe Demon Trick creating pressure throughout this game here. Maybe on the side lanes. As I mentioned before in the draft, before the game started, it's looking like PG have opted for that more competition that wants to create messy skirmishes, wants to kind of create pressure in the side lanes. And with an Udyr and a Gwen, I would expect them to sort of transition over towards that, which is the reason why, as you said, NOL7 do have that early advantage here for the Drakes. And I would expect them to probably give this up and look for the Grubbies instead of the Drake.
Yeah, the Grubs is sadly taken already though, so the rest next up is gonna be the Rift.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, Lissandra here gonna land a brilliant ult here onto Kane, and already just asserting dominance in this early game is just Insignia drivers creating pressure across the map. Matufa pairing very nicely with his mid lane here is just doing so much damage, and it will mean that NOL7 are going to pick up the first Drake of this game.
It is the second Drake of the game, and it's the second Drake.
Sorry.
I think you might need another cup of coffee,
I think I might need another cup of coffee in here because this game is chaos, absolutely. Gotham spit, and now Casper stepping a bit too close, but Casper did a really nice job of hitting a shield to walk away here. But Gotham Joy is going to jump forward, but it's a brilliant barrier, and another headshot lands from that barrier. Demon Trick now going to get taken down as well. Insignia Drive is now godlike, does get another double kill in this game, but it's now 8-0, and Purple Jacket have a mountain to climb here. The flash comes in from Lazy and hits the Q onto Casper, does take him down, but pays for it with his life.
Yeah, Casper went a little bit too deep there. Maybe only should have hit the Q and walled out, but did want to W as well for that extra HP.
Yeah, absolutely. Garbanius is going to try proxy farm this back wave, knowing that Cyan is extremely low here. Won't be able to step up anytime soon. Probably going to fall to minions if he's not careful. Doesn't actually do that, but it was a little bit close for comfort there.
Yeah, it was a little bit too close there, but sadly Ambessa do have ult up here, might be looking for a pick, does not go for it though. I would like to see maybe a tower dive there from the Ambessa and flashing out, but I don't get everything I want. But we do see that Kane do have the red farm here in the jungle at level 9, so at least he did get his farm in time for this chaos gonna happen pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can see that he, has played the Kane in the past, but I mean, at 14 minutes, that is quite a late red form to have. Lazy is gonna just get capitalized on that by my two for the taunt lands. So does the Frozen Tomb, and down goes the Cane already. And just as I mentioned earlier, Insignia Driver Matufa pairing up very nicely in this game.
Yeah, I do think we need to pull away this wheel from Insignia Driver. Has doing a little bit too good in the mid lane here, but yet again, quite an interesting pick with the Shen.
Public Execution just narrowly misses a Signchan dashes away, but the taunt didn't hit either. Rift Herald now spawned does mean that Garbanius and Matufa are going to be able to transition down towards it. Do have so much pressure. Signchan takes so much damage from Garbanius. The needlework comes out to sort of shove Garbanius away. No thank you, this is my tower today. Garbanius going to dash onto him. In comes the Shen taunt as well. And just unfortunately, that cunning sweep didn't actually manage to take him down just yet. And this is a very, very, very scary Ambessa.
Yeah, this Ambessa is getting more and more scary as we go. Gwen needs to pull some weight here. Probably gonna be the biggest part of taking down this 108 Shen in the jungle as he gets more tankier as well.
Absolutely. Now, has that Protoplasm harness finished? I mentioned earlier that it's the build that was often quite popularized by Expetu, especially with the Guardian as well. Just sort of an incredibly important item for the Shen here. Just works really well with his kit. And that being said, especially when you're looking to dive in like the Shen will be, that primary point of engage. I'm not surprised to see the item that he's gone to opt for here. But Kritzy's going to just be able to walk away. Gothic Joy going to be able to wall, but just CW's. The Lysandra lands the Ring of Frost into the Frozen Tomb, and down goes his Corki. This is not looking like the game you want if you are Purple Jackets.
Yeah, this is the driver that I know. Currently 10-0 in mid lane. As scary as can be.
Absolutely, and Matufa recognizing Lazy is on his Krugs. And he's going to get capitalized and does actually manage to land the Blade's Reaping Slash to jump away. But the taunt lands yet again. In comes another Q by Lazy. Doesn't actually manage to hit the Blade's Reach this time. And Signchan's now in a compromised position himself. Does actually manage to take on Casper. But he will pay for it with his life as Gotham Spit takes him down here. And this is an absolute stomp here from NOL7.
Yeah, Noel did decide that, you know what, we did give Purple Jacket this game one. We can not go down into the last to the elimination bracket. We need to get some wins here, so we at least have the upper bracket spot.
Absolutely. I mean, just sort of, they knew the pressure was on. They knew they had to win this game. Always all over in hopes of the upper bracket. And they knew that was the case, and they are bringing themselves back in. It will be 1-for-1 if they win this game, and we'll go to the final game. But we'll see what happens, because Purple Jacket aren't out of it just yet. We've seen stranger things happen. We're 18 minutes in. But that being said, do have some champions that scale very well into the late game. The Gwen being one of them, the Corki being one of them as well. We'll see what happens here. But Gotham Joy is in a bit of a difficult position here. The Rift Herald going to be used by the Cane to run away here. Doesn't mean won't get a charge off on the tower in the top lane. But as we say that, it's not going to matter because the rest of NOL7 are making their way top lane. And Signchan and Lazy now, I'm going to be immediately forced to run away, knowing that the Signia Driver is there, does so much damage here. The Braum does have the Glacial Fissure available, does not manage to use it there. Gwen does have the W up and available, but they're inside it, so it doesn't make a difference. Needlework comes out now, and in comes the Shen taunt as well. And that is 3 people top lane and 2 members. PJ taken down. And wow, oh wow, Matufa and Insignia Driver are doing so much work together.
Yeah, it's some really good chemistry there. You know, these two have been playing a lot together. They do have a pretty good comms all across NOL7, to be honest. We did also see last game on the Zoe with Matufa as well in the jungle when they got the kill in the mid lane early game. They do have quite good comms.
Absolutely, that's definitely the case here. Gotham Joy is going to try chase down Insignia driver here. Try to pick up a really, really vital shutdown here. Does actually have the Zonyas available. Matufa is just patiently waiting, trying to stop him from happening. Does actually manage to miss the taunt, but does so much damage here. Does Matufa that Twilight Assault just doing so much damage. That's going to be a big shutdown being handed over to the Corki here. But Matufa's going to take down two of them. Critzy getting taken down as well here. And Cyan Chan does use a W to try escape here. Lazy's now here to try help out. Matufa's falling solo. The Reaping Slash going to miss, but the ult comes out from the Kane. Umbral Trespass going to go inside of him. The Q actually now lands. It's a big shutdown here as the Needlework comes out as well. Gotham Spit going to be forced to flash where the Reaping Slash going to land onto the Braum. But Gotham Spit does so much damage. In comes a snip from the Gwen. And he's going to get taken down by Gotham Spit. This bot lane asserting their dominance on this game and not letting the Lysandra run away with it themselves.
Yeah, what a play. That's all over. And somehow, after barely managing to survive that, this Caitlyn or God Mommy do have a lot of damage here on this Caitlyn, as we can see. And this is just an amazing game so far. And NOL do have three Drakes and the Grubs.
Absolutely. They're so strong in this game now on Soul Point as well. Gotham Spit knows that his shed is waiting patiently, but Gothenjoy does a lot of damage here. Glacial Fisher comes out, Insignia driving near her to try and lend a helping hand. Does actually manage to do that, and as he does that, unfortunately, Lazy, you do not have the damage, you do not have the resources to do anything there, and he's looking at the public execution and abusively land crits here, might be able to walk away here from Matufa, does actually do that. Insignia driver uses the E to jump straight back in. They're going to dive and they do not care what happens here, and they're running down the top lane.
Yeah, they did a pretty good single game or that fight. Only one surviving was the Nami, managing to barely survive because that Matufa and Casper believed that she was already dead. Is it enough? I don't think so, as Nasher is already gonna be taken upon here.
Yeah, and this is now nearly a 10,000 gold lead here as the dude has to take the Baron as well. It probably will take it to that 10,000 mark here. And Purple Jacket's in a really, really difficult position here. Noah's Legend 7 have such an incredible lead, and it's not looking hopeful for them really, because there's no one for Purple Jackets that really can sort of grasp this game by the horns and bring them back into it. Corki just finishing that third item now, but this Caitlyn has now so much damage. So does this Lysandra, and we've seen that Corki can take someone down quickly, but it doesn't matter because the Insignia driver can practically one-shot your backline. Now, Purple Jackets still have a mountain to climb. That being said, do you think they have an opportunity to bring this game back? Oh, and they actually may do. Gotham Spit's going to get jumped on here, but Braum again doing such a nice job. And the Unbreakable gets used every time that tidal wave comes out. And just as I asked you if Purple Jackets had an opportunity to come back, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
This is exactly what I did talk about. If this Udyr will have picked something more of a carry mid laner, this game could have gone the different way. As you cannot give Driver these kills, this potential to scale in the mid lane, as Driver is a beast and can carry these games so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Purple Jackets are going to fall, but not just yet. They're going to slow the bleed a little bit now. Gothenjoy and Demon Drake going to chase down Garbanius, just try to pick up a kill somewhere. This bear's chasing them down, but they're just so strong, and Noah's Legend 7 not going to be able to just capitalize on anything yet. The dragon is now spawned as well. This is going to be Soul for Noah's Legend 7. Purple Jacket not even able to do anything. So many waves pushed in. The Super Minion is now pushing in mid lane. Noah's Legend 7 are aware of that, and Purple Jacket just have no leg to stand on.
Yeah, it is pretty hard for Purple Jacket here to try to come back. I do think that a lot of this is... if Lysandra wasn't this fed, of course, it would have been possible for them to maybe pull something out. Maybe if they would have changed out the Udyr from a draft. but it looks like NOL is saying we are done messing around. We want a last fight. We want to end and go into the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking like they're probably going to win this game. The last fight is going to happen in the Unbreakable again, just stopping the ultimate coming out. The ultimate out from the Shen as well. Down actually goes a couple of members there, but Demon Trick and Goffinjoy were the last ones standing, but not for very long. Gothmummy just actually managed to steal the Penta away from Insignia Driver there. I think I'd be fuming if I was them. But NOL7 are bringing this series back. It is 1-for-1 now as we go into this last game, and already we're seeing that both teams have potential to assert dominance and be the force to be reckoned with, really, as potentially NOL7 are going to have a final game to get themselves into the upper bracket. We'll see what happens really soon. We'll take a really quick break and we'll get straight into the third game, but don't go anywhere, because as I said, there's an opportunity for NOL7 to fight for this upper bracket, but Purple Jacket might just spoil their fun. Don't go anywhere, because we'll see what happens. Welcome back. We're into the final game now as well. Noah's Legend 7 turning it around. Purple Jackets thought to run away with it after the first game. It was a very close game in the first game, but Noah's Legend 7 really put their stamp on this series. A reminder, they're fighting for that upper bracket slot. If they lose this game, they will unfortunately fall into the lower bracket and will actually face Purple Jackets in the next stage of the playoffs. That being said, Noah's Legend 7 are coming back into this game. Such a dominant performance in that last game, Burp.
Yeah, what a dominance performance. But this is something I was talking about when they locked in the Udyr. That driver is an insane carry. You cannot let the driver scale like this in a game. You cannot give driver this free laning phase, as a driver might be their biggest carry potential on NOL7's team.
Yeah, absolutely right to see. We've seen them play the LeBlanc before. We've seen the Lysandra being picked as well in the last game. And when sort of gets that lead becomes such a carry. Just as we say that, Purple Jackets are going to take away a carry away from them. And the Carl is going to be banned away. But the other champions being banned as well. The Thresh being taken away. The Fiddlesticks being taken away from Noah's Legend 7. Jungler, something that I've talked about a lot in this series. Definitely a favourite champion of theirs. But Noah's Legend 7 are going to reply with the Neferi. Definitely clearly a champion that they don't like being banned throughout this entirety of this series. And they also are going to ban the Nocturne as well as the Ezreal as well. So sort of similar bans being picked up. But what's interesting now is the Smolder is getting picked up for Purple Jackets. Now, the reason this is really, really interesting is because it's a champion that is clearly a favourite of Demon Tricks in the mid lane. Now, Smolder strong in the meta, could be transitioned to the bot lane. Goth Enjoyer has played a little bit, but that being said, a favourite of Demon Tricks. Do you think we'll see this in the mid lane, Burp?
There is a chance we can see this in the main lane, but something that is quite interesting is that Smaller have been banned in both previous from the red side teams here. So the fact that NOL7 said, you know what, we're gonna let you guys have Smaller means they have a pocket pick. They do have something in mind to counter this as well. But we are gonna see Wukong for NOL7.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to get the Wukong picked up as well, but a Vayne is being hovered currently for NOL7. It is actually going to get locked in. Now, the Vayne's not necessarily something that is a favourite. Goth Mummy's maybe played a little bit before in the past. It could be a Vayne top lane. We've seen it happen before, but it kind of creates a little bit of uncertainty for Purple Jacket. We know that Purple Jackets like to sort kind of have, Cyan Chan either potentially maybe looking for a carry this a tank this time. Didn't necessarily go as well on the Gwen last time. But speaking of tanks, it looking like Purple Jackets are going to actually decide to pick up the Zac here. Now, an interesting pick here, if I'm honest, Bert, because into a vein that has the Condemn, the Wukong who has the knock up, I feel like Purple Jackets are kind of looking for the all-in and nothing else composition.
Yeah, Purple Jacket might be looking for the all in here, as we can see Zac and the Sona is getting hovered here as well. That they are thinking of all in a lot of CC, trying to CC this vein before they can burst down the rest of the team. But they do have that monkey ultimate as well, managing to mock them up. Gonna be quite annoying here for Purple Jacket, but I do agree with you in that Purple Jacket is probably gonna look for an all-in composition here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I see the vision behind it, but I mean, we see another brilliant pick for Insignia driver. It's the LeBlanc. We talked about this earlier, right? But we talked about how he loves that carry, loves being aggressive. We've seen Insignia driver play this LeBlanc before during the regular season, and has been such a strong, dominant force in it that I am really interested to see what Purple Jacket decide to draft in this mid lane. Whether it will actually be the Smolder or whether they'll now look to transition into something else, knowing that LeBlanc's been picked.
I do think they are gonna try to convert it over to something else now when LeBlanc is gonna get paid. I don't, or I can see Smaller still go mid lane, but I do think it's gonna be a harder lane for Smaller than to pick a new mid laner here and pulling Smaller down into the bot lane. But as Null is gonna think it the same, as they are gonna ban out the Vex and the Galio here from PJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really important point to point out is the banning away the Gallo, the banning away the Vex, they're clearly anticipating this Smolder to go towards the bot lane. But that's still something that's still up in the air, and we'll see how the rest of this draft folds out. Purple Jacket gonna ban away the Alistair away, so clearly don't want that engaged comp to pair alongside that Wukong. And just another engaged champion that is definitely a favorite of NOL7 support Casper is the Rakan. Now, does have a 75% win rate on the champion, and Rakan is extremely strong in the meta right now. That being said, I do think they're kind of just hoping that NOL7 pick that maybe a little bit more Enchanter role, but they're probably going to look for potentially something like a Poppy, which I was about to say is he gets locked in. Now, the Poppy gets locked in. A favourite of Garbanius as well, got an impressive win rate on this champion, but can also be flex picked into the bot lane here. Do you think this will be a Poppy top lane or a potential Poppy in the support?
I do think it's gonna be Poppy top, but it all depends on what PJ is gonna pick in here for the top lane. They are gonna pick a Syndra, which is gonna put Smaller into the bot lane. I do really like the Syndra pick into LeBlanc. We are gonna have two hyper carries in the mid lane. It's gonna be a fuck fest if sorry the language, but it's gonna be quite interesting in the mid lane here, especially in laning phase.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my assumption is that the Smolder wanted to go to the mid lane, but the LeBlanc got picked, and it made it difficult to sort of put that the Smolder in the mid lane against a champion who likes to just constantly create pressure on top of you, really. But the Tahm Kench is going to get locked in for Purple Jackets. This will likely be a Tahm Kench in the top lane. Now, whether that's into the Poppy or whether it's into something else, we'll wait and see what Lowers Legend 7 decide to pick here in this last pick. They do have the counter pick if they decide to transition this Poppy into the bot lane. Now, that won't be the case there because Lulu is going to get locked in. So it's a Lulu Vayne bot lane. So Purple Jacket kind of got what they wanted, right? They wanted to essentially stop No One's Legend 7 from getting that tank engager. And they forced No One's Legend 7 onto the Enchanter there. Do you think the Lulu pick's the right way to go? Or do you think there was a better pick there, Burp?
Don't hate the Lulu pick. It's a pretty good pick. I don't really know how it's gonna work into the sort of smaller laning phase, but I do really like the Lulu. I do think there is a better pick out there somewhere. I cannot really think about what that would have been on top of my head, but I do really like the competition here from NOL7's side, but not as much as I like the PJ. Of course, Nolla do have that vein to take down the Tom Kench and the Sack, but the question here is if a PJ can CC and kill the vein before the vein get to pop off and kill all of PJ's team.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one important thing to note is that PJ do have a very interesting draft. That it's in like really good scaling. It's very good for front to back team fighting that have a lot of peel, a lot of disengage, but NOL7 have that really explosive skirmish that they want, that explosive mid game, and they also have the scaling. LeBlanc and the Vayne do very, very well and become such a threat towards the late game. Now, I expect Purple Jackets to sort of look for that dive potentially. They have the Zac with the passive, but what one thing to point out is that NOL7 have some really interesting dive tools to stop, so anti-dive tools to stop that from potentially happening. Now, it doesn't mean that they won't look to potentially still dive. It could be the case, but I would expect Purple Jackets to kind of protect the scaling carries here, and it's going to be incredibly important if for the Syndra to control the space, maybe look for team fights in those choke points, and for the Smolder to be protected as much as possible as we transition into this late game burp.
Yeah, I do think that we are gonna have a quite an interesting game here, but we have gotten word that it is gonna be a small delay, bigger than the 3 minutes that we normally talk through. So I don't know if you feel the same, and maybe throwing it over to break for a little bit. But I do think that we are gonna have two quite interesting games here. Personally, it all depends if Vayne and LeBlanc do get to scale. If I do know and know right, they are gonna manage to carry out this game and probably win it. But I do think that PJ is gonna have a quite good competition here to try to stop them. But we will see how all of this pays out.
Yeah, we will take a small break because we're waiting on a bit of a potential technical difficulty here in the game. So just bear with us 5 minutes. We'll hopefully won't be too long. But have a think. Let us know what you think. Will Null 7 bring this back and win the game, or will it be Purple Jackets for the taking? We'll be right back with you as soon as we possibly can. We are back after a small delay. Apologies for that. Had some technical issues, but we're back and ready to go for game number 3. We should be getting to game any second now. As we said before, NOL7 really have to put the pressure on this game and really have to win this if they want that upper bracket spot. If they lose, unfortunately, they fall into that lower bracket spot. Burp, any predictions for who's going to win?
Ooh, as we did talk a little bit in the draft before these technical issues, I do think Null is gonna pull out this victory, even though PJ is gonna have a pretty strong comp here. But I do think that Null is gonna end up on top.
It might be the case. We'll see what happens. I mean, we said before that, potentially that Null have a stronger comp in terms of anti-dive and maybe scaling to late game with the Vayne, but if PJ can do a really nice job of protecting the Smolder, protecting the Syndra, and letting the Syndra control the space, then it could be really difficult for them to get anywhere. So we'll see what happens to get into the game. Casper the Ghost and Matufa are just kind of creating a little bit more pressure in the blue side, stepping up a little bit too close, and he's actually going to decide to opt to start on Lazy Raptors here. It does mean that Lazy is going to be forced to head over to his blue. Might look to potentially split here, but I'm interested to see what Matufa's pathing here is, Burp.
Yeah, I am quite interested. They don't have the information that Matufa is on the red right now either, as they didn't get any wards down. They maybe knows that he is in their jungle right now, but he is probably gonna take the red here, go over to his blue, and then over to his red, putting a Lazy quite behind.
Absolutely. I mean, Goth Mummy and Casper have kind of had their skirmishes with this bot lane throughout this entire series, really. Been trying to shove in the lanes and been trying to create pressure. Every opportunity, really. But we'll see how this sort of works out as we get into this game. Now, I mean, both now level 2 in this bot lane. Now, I think this bot lane is going to be interesting to watch, partly because Solana is definitely championing this vulnerable early, and we're seeing the vulnerability come out immediately here, as Critzy is going to get capitalized on by Matufa. Nicely played here. Goffinjoy is going to flash forward, but the Vayne does too much damage. A brilliant shield there by Lulu. Use that help Pixie to just get the extra little bit of shielding and takes down this bot lane.
Yeah, well played there, and the gank from Matufa as well. I was a little bit scared that God Mommy will go down there before Matufa did get there in time, but everything paid off perfectly. Zac is currently homeless in the top side of this jungle, as Wukong is taking the blue side. I do think that Lazy is gonna have a pretty rough game so far.
Yeah, looking like it might be the case, but Critzy's taking so much damage already. Gotham is going to be forced to walk away, but there's another fight here happening in the bot river. Lazy is now going to get jumped on by Insignia Driver and Matufa. Going to be forced to flash away here, but this has been a combo we've seen throughout this series. Matufa and Insignia Driver constantly on the same page here, and already showing it again in the early stages of Game 3.
Yeah, they are really on the same pace right here. But we do also see that Matufa is quite late here in his second clear.
Yeah, it really is struggling here to get that second clear now. I mean, Lazy is running back towards his Raptors now. Matufa did a nice job of denying that early access to the Raptors and sort of put Lazy in a bit of a difficult position here. But it doesn't mean that he won't be able to bring himself back into the game. Now, obviously, Zach, a champion that loves to kind of find those different sort of angles, but we'll speak about that in a second because Gothbomb is going to get jumped onto by Goth Enjoyer here, and he's going to fall here as Critzy gets the final take, and it's going to be a him of Valor paired with a auto from the passive, and down goes the Vayne already, and this bot lane is looking like one to watch.
Yeah, this bot lane is gonna be quite interesting the farther we go as well. Both these ADCs are gonna be quite important and in the mid to late game as well. But we are finally gonna see Matufa. He's almost done with his first clear on his side, and this Lazy is on his second clear so far. So they are not going to be too different in farm here as well. Of course, Lazy is going to be a little bit behind, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one important thing to point out is that I mentioned about the Zac looking for those angles, but the Poppy pick is so incredibly important, can heavily disrupt any angle that Zac tries to create. It instantly takes away the ability of the slingshot, and just becomes incredibly difficult when trying to jump into that steadfast presence. Now, that being said, I do think the one thing to focus on, you touched on the clear there, I do think this jungle matchup will heavily control the pace of this game. Now, Wukong obviously wants a skirmish earlier, wants those early fights, wants to create difficulty, and you're not necessarily looking to full clear as much on the Zac in this early game. But that being said, we can already see Matufa taking quite a significant lead here already on this farm.
Yeah, Matufa is already in the lead on this farm and already looking for first Drake here. But Lazy is in bot side, but maybe not even getting to do anything here.
Oh, maybe not, but we'll see what happens as they are going to start up the Drake here. Now, looking to want to fight too. Casper's going to be forced to flash away here. Lazy just hovering, waiting to make something happen, but not going to be able to do anything just yet. Purple Jackets want to do something, but aren't going to be able to make anything happen as the Drake is going to get handed over to NOL7. Now, Garbanis is going to throw him into the wall there. The Tahm Kench. Now, I think the Tahm Kench and Poppy matchup is an interesting one, right? Because we mentioned about how Poppy is super useful into the Zac engage, but this Tahm Kench is going to sustain forever. I'd expect potential Heartsteel to be built here early for the Tahm Kench, but this is a very island orientated lane, is the Poppy and the Tahm Kench. But I do think that if they can't prevent this Sion Chan from growing into this game, it's going to be difficult to deal with as the Tahm Kench gets into the latter stages of the game, Burb.
Yeah, but we do already see that Poppy do have a lot of damage early.
Yeah, does have a lot of damage early, but he's going to get eaten, ignited as well, as in comes the Poppy Ultimate Keeper's Verdict, going to knock him up in the air. There's a fight in the bot lane now, so in comes the Wukong as well. Wukong using the Cyclone to knock up two members of the bot lane here. Critsy's going to fall extremely low. In comes the Crushing Blow to take down Critsy, and Goth going to be splits to as much damage as possible, Goth Enjoyer, but it's going to be a support taken down in the bot lane, and it's looking like Goth Enjoyer may get dived here, not going to be able to move anywhere just yet. Matufa dives in comes the barrier, and he's going to be able to tank enough damage from the tower here, and that is 2 kills in the bot lane there, and it's looking like NOL7 are really bringing a stamp on this game.
Yeah, NOL7 is currently having a pretty good lead here, and as we didn't see, but through the map, even though that Saki was trying to gank top here, Poppy did manage to survive. Of course, had to use flash and teleport here to get out.
Absolutely. And it's looking like NOL7, as you predicted, are looking like to bring themselves back into this series, Burb. Now, we'll see what happens as the game now decides to develop. Void Grubs have now spawned, but there's a little bit more pressure in the mid lane for Purple Jackets. Whether they'll decide to make work of that pressure, we'll see what happens. Demon Trick does have a level advantage on Insignia Driver. Just pretty even on CS here, but I think this mid lane matchup could dictate what happens as we transition into this mid game. Now, Syndra I think Demon Trick's done a really good job of controlling the waves here against his Signia Driver burp. And as I say that, they are creating that pressure now. And it does mean that Purple Jackets will be able to move towards his grubs.
Yeah, Purple Jacket is only gonna get these grubs, at least getting something away from NOL. And almost getting the kill in mid lane there as well. I did believe that Demon Tracker was gonna get the killer with the ult, but Driver barely surviving there. But a
Yeah,
lot of this
absolutely.
pressure is totally gonna be on the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean it's the map control lane, I guess, is what you could call it, right? It's the lane that's going to kind of control pressure as we transition into these objectives when transitioning into the mid game. Now, one important thing to point out is I mentioned about how Syndra wants to control the waves, but the Syndra's going to be able to control the team fights a lot easier as well. I mentioned about creating space and creating space for the rest of Purple Jackets here, really. And if the Syndra can sort of scale, then it becomes a lot more reliable late game. But Cyanchan's doing a lot of damage here, and he's going to flash away from Garbanius. Garbanius going to have to use the W to run away here. Being able to do that because Tongue Lash lands. Final Auto maybe coming out in a second, and he does actually land on Cyanchan with a solo bolo in the top lane. Brilliantly played in the Devour there, and that is a Tahm Kench that does so much damage. Matufa here now going to just use the E to jump onto him. The Crushing Blow comes out as well. Uses the Warrior Trickster to try just get closer towards Cyanchan here, but Cyanchan uses the Ignite. In comes the W, and this beast is not finished just yet. In comes the Cyclone as well here. The shield available. Tongue Lash goes out. Final bit of the Cyclone. It's a shutdown and 2 kills for Cyanchan, and doing so much damage on the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, Tom Kench with that shield barely surviving, managing to pick up the double kill here in top lane. Looking pretty good here. But we will see. It was a pretty nice shutdown on this 3-0, now 3-1 Wukong as well. Gonna get quite interesting.
Absolutely, will get interesting indeed. We'll see how it develops, but this is the Tahm Kench I mentioned. Tahm Kench can become incredibly difficult as the game develops. Now, hasn't actually finished item yet. Does actually manage to finish the Heartsteel as predicted. Now, if they can stack this Heartsteel transitions into the late game, this Tahm Kench will be incredibly difficult to deal with. But we'll see what happens as we move now into this sort of like early to mid game. The Drake is spawning any second now. But it looks like the Insignia Driver's in a bit of a difficult position here as Syndra uses the Unleash power but being able to walk away. Now, it doesn't matter, he didn't die because the Drake is now up any second. Demon Trick's going to get jumped into by Matufa. No Cyclone available. Uses the stun, but nothing comes of it. And now Drake is available. Insignia Driver's going to be forced to base, use the TP, and Purple Jackets are looking to capitalise on that.
Yeah, they are trying to do something here in the bot of River, trying to get this Drake. Driver is pretty low. They are gonna have the pressure from the Syndra here as well. So it's gonna be quite interesting. I do believe that Drake is gonna go towards PJ's side, but we will wait and see as nobody have fallen yet.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens. But looking like Matufa is just trying to create a little bit of chaos for Lazy. Lazy's trying to do as much as possible to create pressure for this Drake. Does actually get jumped onto here. Uses the Let's Bounce to try and escape. Really nicely played there by Critzy to use the ultimate to stop them in place. But Cyclone again going to be used. Not going to knock anyone out just yet. Gotham Joy gets jumped onto. The Mom comes out. Takes down Gotham in spit. Lazy now falling extremely low. The Blobs are now available for the taking. But Demon Trick is here to try help out and save the jungler from going down. Doesn't actually have stun available just yet. Uses the W to try hit Matufa. Matufa uses the Trickster to jump away. And in comes the Zac. Smites him and hits him with the Q. Brilliant stun by Demon Trick. Matufa's going to use the last auto attack onto the Zac. He's now on a killing spree. The Q Crushing Blow wasn't available for another second. And Demon Trick picks up yet another kill.
Yeah, really nice here by PGA, but really nice by Matufa, managing to take down Lazy, so they cannot take this Drake yet. But it has both the junglers are gonna be up here any seconds. I do believe either they are gonna go for the clear, waiting a little bit longer for Drake. If not, they are wanting this Drake really bad.
Yeah, a bit of a late stage second Drake, but we'll see if both teams decide to opt to it or look for the clear. Looking like they are going to opt for the clear just at the moment for now. But as we transition into this mid stage of the game, looking like Gothinger and Critzy are taking that opportunity to transition into the mid lane as Casper does as well. We'll see what happens as we get into this now. Drake is now spawned, available for the taking, as we said. Looking like Matufa wants this now, looking to run towards it. But it doesn't mean that Lazy's not aware of this happening. Vision going down in the mid lane as well. And I want to point out that Gothinger doing a really good job of shoving in this wave. And it just means that Insignia Driver's forced to come back and push the wave in themselves. With this happening, do you think that PJ need to create more pressure in these side lanes before Drake's, or do you think they have the potential and the strength to fight already for the second Drake?
I do think they need a little bit of pressure in these side lanes, but they are doing quite a lot of work on it already. As they are trying to push in these lanes to try to get something out of it before this Drake. But we are gonna see NOL clearing out some vision here, as Drake
Yeah, I mean,
is gonna be
NOL7
falling.
have done a really good job of this, right? Throughout this entire game, created so much pressure and been really good with the vision, been really good in denying vision away from Purple Jackets. And it's been a battle for who can gather the most information. That being said, both teams are kind of trying to create that vision line across that Drake pit, try just kind of find out as much information as possible before trying to capitalize on it. Matufa now patiently waiting in the wings, hasn't been spotted yet by Demon Trick, will actually manage to hit the cycle, and stun goes out onto Gotham Split, but in comes the ultimate as well, the barrier being used as well, and it does mean Demon Trick's gonna fall. Nicely played there by Purple Jackets, sorry, by NOL7. And it does mean that there's an extra member available now for this Drake.
Yes, as Lazy is getting quite lower as well, and Matufa is already on Drake. That is gonna be the second Drake over to NOL. So already a little bit ahead with the Drakes. Of course, PJ do have the 3 grubs, but grubs isn't really that much important, as we know, with these crystallizations and these plates.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing that they're kind of starting to trying to create that little pressure across the map, trying to take those objectives now. That is now 2 Drakes being taken for NOL7 here. And the Rift is now available for the taking as well. Purple Jackets really could do with trying to get an objective themselves and maybe try crack this mid lane tower. We all know how important it is for mid lane tower to be cracked. And we'll see if they decide to do that. But Garbani's going to get jumped onto here by Cyanchan. Cyanchan flashing the ultimate again. Garbani is struggling to sort of keep this time against him being locked down. But it doesn't mean he can't stun him against the wall. Does exactly that. Cyanchan doesn't have the shield available, but is able to walk away. And that's a sustain from the Tahm Kench. Now, this is the fight for the ages in the top lane, because both times Cyanchan has tried to flash away from the ultimate and done a really good job.
Yeah, have some amazing flashes here in the top lane, but I do want to take a look here in a a Rift Pit.
And it's looking like Zac is going to get jumped on here. Lazy, maybe needing to just use the slingshot to escape, and has to do exactly that. Using the Let's Bounce now, and he might just fall. Final auto attack from Gotham Spit isn't able to get in range to hit it just yet. But it does mean that NOL7 now have the opportunity to transition towards this Rift Herald. We talked about a little bit earlier about cracking that mid lane tower is so important. It creates so much opportunity, creates the ability to kind of transition into the enemy jungle and create those awkward angles and be difficult to fight in. And you kind of realize now you have to kind of establish vision around points that you didn't necessarily need to, but now that when that mid lane tower goes down, it means that you have so much pressure in these side lanes.
Yeah, you do have a lot of pressure in the silence here now, and we do get the Rift over to NOL as expected.
Yeah, but Cyclone comes in from Matufa doing as much work as possible to try and knock up Gothinger. Gothinger doesn't actually quite have any execute yet. No, doesn't have quite the stack, but there's a lot of damage here. It's going to take down Matufa. Gotham Spit now doing a lot of damage himself now. Doesn't actually manage to land the final auto attack, but Insignia Driver's going to get 2 of them down. Just survives with a slither his health, and Poppy Galvanius takes on the Zac in the meantime.
Yeah, that health bar was for sure 1 pixel wide, barely surviving from that double kill. Amazingly done by Driver there. Yet again, Driver is maybe the biggest carrot potential here from NOL's side, besides Matufa, which is doing pretty good as well in the jungle. But we will see how all of this falls down when they started these bigger team fights with 5v5 as the game goes on.
Absolutely. Now, one thing to point out is Cyan Chan has a massive lead in this top lane. Now, Vayne easy to break down, and easy enough to break down tanks with the silver bolts. That being said, that Devour comes out could be incredibly difficult for the Vayne to even escape here. The focus is really heavily going to be on can Garbanius and Casper peel enough for their ADC here. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of the Devour, it looking like Garbanius is going to get devoured yet again. Tahm Kench landing that Abyssal Dive, but Garbanius is tanky enough now to run away. But 160 stacks now on this Dark Seal for this Tahm Kench. Incredibly tanky as we transition into this mid to late game now. But just takes so much damage and so much sustain. Do you think this Tahm Kench is going to be trouble, or do you think that maybe NOL7 have the damage to deal with it in this late game, Burp?
I do think they are gonna have the damage to deal with this Tahm Kench, but I do see that Tahm Kench is almost done with his Dusk and Dawn. He is gonna be a problem here in a bit, and I know I already see him in my nightmares.
Absolutely. I mean, Tahm Kench becomes a big red boss as you get into the late game. But Kritz is going to be forced to flash away. Cyclone landing with a lazy 9 as well. Gothendry just uses the Mom to try and do as much damage as possible. In comes the Wild Growth onto Gothmummy's Spit. And unfortunately, Syndra is not able to do as much damage yet because Demon Trick is taken down. And this Vayne is doing so much damage.
Yeah, Vayne is doing a hell of damage as these silver shots is hitting. But of course, we are not gonna turn away from the driver as well, having a lot of damage on this LeBlanc.
Yeah, a lot of damage from Insignia Driver, absolutely indeed. Gothmummy Spit, though, is really trying to start to carry this game. The Wild Growth from Lulu is incredibly important in that fight. Save the Vayne, and Demon Trick's not able to get the damage off. The Unleash power comes out, but the Wild Growth shields him and takes off that potential execute damage. So I think we need to give credit here to Casper, because really playing well on this Lulu.
Yeah, Casper is playing really, really well on this Lulu, but we are gonna see almost a steal here.
Almost, indeed, but doesn't matter because it does mean they will get the Drake there. So I do feel like maybe that Lazy's trying to make something happen, but they're doing a really nice job of denying it. Devour comes in, though, and Garbani's going to get ignited. In comes the Abyssal Dive. All going to miss, flashes into it, and there's just shutdown for this Tahm Kench.
Yeah, I don't know how that Poppy ult misses. Not hitting before or not hitting after the flash. If Poppy will have followed the ult a little bit longer, maybe he would have flashed into it and fled away and maybe survived. But it's nice try anyways. But as we do see, it is gonna be on Inferno Soul here, which is gonna be quite dangerous on this Vayne.
Absolutely. I mean, now on Soul Point now, NOL7, so already been really strong in this game. But this is how much damage this Vayne does with those silver bolts. That true damage condemns him away. Can't even devour him just yet. Casper and Gothmummy Spit say no thank you to the Tahm Kench. And down he goes. This is the true damage we expect from the Vayne here.
Yeah, and you see that polymorph as well, being pretty handy there, not getting the stun off to this Vayne as well, managing to get Tahm Kench even more useless if the silver shots wasn't enough.
Yeah, but we'll see if maybe they can make something happen here. Compete Purple Jackets. In comes the Mom. Matufa is doing everything possible. Cycling going out again. One thing to note is Gothendry now has the execute. In comes the Unleashed power, take him down as well. Mommy Spit is going to fall down, and this is the damage that comes out from the Smolder. Brilliantly played, but falls down. Their Demon Trick now trying to do as much damage as possible to Garbanius, but Garbanius is so tanky here, and this game is now starting to turn its tide because now this Smolder is really strong.
Yeah, Smolder is getting stronger, just what we want to see from PJ here. But the question is that Null is on stall point. Drake is up in 230 here, and yet another, or the first tower here in mid lane from Null's team, I mean from PJ, is gonna fall, which is gonna be quite nice. We do see the Poppy there with that nicing note on to the sack as well.
Yeah, I mean, but it does mean that Purple Jackets have a way back into this game, and looking like they already are asserting their dominance, because we can see the damage that this Smolder does. Has the Black Cleaver finish now? Has the Serpent's Fang finish now? Such incredibly important items to prevent this shielding from this Lulu, but it doesn't mean that his Signia Driver isn't still dangerous, and I really think that's where the Sun is going to have to come in to try keep him alive, but also where the Tahm Kench is really, and the Zac are really going to have to peel here. There's a fight in the top lane, though, unfortunately for Sion-chan, and 3 members of the opposing team are now here to stop him. NOL7 collapsing on this poor Tahm Kench. Matufa gets the kill. Here comes Mom again, but he's going to miss. Insignia Drive able to walk away here. There's another fight happening on the other side of the map as well. Garbani is going to be able to just push the wave in there, as Demon Trick's not going to be able to do anything. But it does mean that they're going to look towards the Baron. NOL7 now aren't even going to get any sort of competition here. The TP comes in from Garbanius, and it does mean that the Baron is now half HP, and Purple Jackets don't even know it's happening yet. It's now going to be a free Baron before they even realise, and this is an incredibly strong position now for NOL7 to be in.
Yeah, NOL7 is gonna be quite happy here. Drake is gonna spawn in 1 minute as well. For Null's side, it doesn't matter if they might give up a one Drake here for maybe a tower in top and maybe a tower in mid. So they are probably gonna split push a little bit here, as well as maybe trying to fight for this Drake. He's trying to get to utilize this natural buff as much as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, we can see now Insignia Driver has 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. His Vayne is 3 items, nearly finished the 4th item as well. So really, really strong in this game. You mentioned it, the Drake up in 25 seconds. With the Baron buff available, they'll look to shove in the lanes and transition towards his Drake, establishing vision deep into the enemy jungle. So PJ, unfortunately, not able to sort of deny anything here. It maybe looks like Lazy might have to try and make a really ambitious steal here, but it doesn't mean that NOL7 are going to deny it anytime soon. In comes the jump from the Zac. The stun gets used as well. 2 members are really, really low for NOL7, but the dragon has now spawned, and NOL7 transition over the pit and don't actually decide to fight it just yet. PJ have the lead for now, but will something happen? Sion-chan TP'd in. This is a really tanky level 17 Tahm Kench here, and it looks like Purple Jackets will actually decide to start it up. Drake resets, but it doesn't mean that Gothmami's Spit isn't going to do as much damage as possible. Sion-chan here, because in comes a lot of damage from the Smolder. Garbani is taken down immediately by Gothenjoy. The fight happening in the middle side of the map as well. Gothmami's Spit jumps onto the Smolder, and the Smolder just takes down the Vayne as the Vayne takes down the Smolder. It's a triple kill for the Smolder, but a Tahm Kench isn't finished. Abyssal dive onto Casper the Ghost, gets devoured. He is going to fall now, and it looks like Purple Jackets are turning around this team fight. And unfortunately, Insignia Driver's not going to be able to make anything happen, and that will be the Drake now for Purple Jackets.
For Purple Jacket, unless a driver can manage to steal this with his W, he is gonna try to look for it. It maybe jumped in a little bit too early, that was too bad. But the Purple Jacket is gonna be quite happy with that, managing to take down 4 people, maybe even a shutdown or 2. And the Drake here, managing not to only get the Drake and some kills, but also denying the natural buff quite a lot, only down to driver left.
And it looked, just when it looked like it was slowly slipping out of their grasp, this game for Purple Jackets, it looked like Gothenjoy is bringing them right back in, taking the game by its horns. And this is the damage that the Smolder can do when it has the passive available. The Execute does so much damage that a Chew just ripped through their team. And the Super Scorcher Breath as well, it's so much damage here. Garbanius, for someone that has tanky items, just immediately got melted down. We'll see if Sion-chan gets melted down here as well, whether he can use that Abyssal Dive to try escape. Isn't going to opt to use it, decides to devour the Vayne. Does actually get him to a half HP. Auto attack takes him down, but he falls for him, pays for his life. But that is the damage of the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, Tom Kench is dealing a lot of damage here, especially with that Dusk and Dawn. Quite a dangerous champion.
Get so much damage at 360 stacks now on this Heartsteel. Matufa flashed in using the Cyclone onto Goffinjoy. Goffinjoy actually decides to use the stasis now. Manages to keep himself in place. Garbani's going to aim into the wall here. It does actually manage to fall down there as well, but Insignia Driver is doing a lot of damage. Unleash Power going to take down the Insignia Driver. But Lazy's not finished yet. Does have the passive available as well. Matufa and Casper going to walk away as well. And it's 3 members available for each team. But it's looking like Purple Jackets aren't finished. Want to push down the mid lane, shoving the wave and take a reset. But Garbanius is looking for blood now. And Casper's following him patiently in the wings. But nothing's going to come just yet. And both teams probably will take their resets here.
Yeah, and as we do see, there is only 500 gold difference here in between, or 1k gold difference here in between the 2 kills. And as we do see the personal gold here as well, it is quite close in a lot of these lanes.
It is indeed, but I want to really focus on this bot lane. This Vayne had such an incredible lead, and now this Smolder is sitting 2,000 gold ahead of this Vayne. That's almost a full item ahead here. Gothmami Spit is going to jump onto Lazy, but going to be forced to flash away here. Cyan Chan used the Abyssal Dive, jumped on, and this Vayne is running away scared now. We're seeing the incredible force that this Tahm Kench is sort of putting on this game. I don't actually quite think that Gothmami expected the Tahm Kench to one-shot him earlier in the top lane, but now he's aware of that. It's looking like he has to play super cautiously.
Yeah, both the teams here are trying to protect their ADCs as a driver is trying to nuke the backline, and so does Demon Trick as well. Trying to get some kills here before the ADCs get to do a lot. Both ADCs this game are quite dangerous. It all depends who can defend their ADC the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Tahm Kench, you can see his items, like, he's so tanky, has so many stacks on the on the Heartsteel, sorry, and now with a huge lead, now he's just able to become such dominant force. But I really think what's going to be super important here is how Insignia Drive decides to operate these team fights. Can he get the gank opportunity? Matufa is doing everything possible to get onto that front line, jump onto the back line with a second proc of the Cyclone. But Insignia Driver, what's really important for them is they need to try create space and try get something onto him. But Mom's going to get used here, and Casper isn't going to fall down just yet. Everything getting used to save Goth Enjoyer, and Goth Mommy Spit is going to take on Crit C, but he's going to fall himself, and this Smolder is somehow still alive. Slingshot going to get used into Casper. He's going to walk away unless the Tahm Kench can come and take him down finally. Demon Trick now using the Elite Tower. Insignia Driver gets stunned out of the way. Incoming ult from Poppy. Knocks him away with the Keeper's Verdict. Insignia Driver now uses the Ethereal Chains and takes down the Zap, but the Brobs are available, and he's spawning quickly. Demon Trick is running for his life from Garbanius, but Garbanius hits him with a passive here, and Goth Enjoyer is now full HP. Garbanius trying to make something happen here, but this Smolder does so much damage here. But that is so much damage from Insignia Driver there as well. Uses to try escape. Devour comes in, then it does mean that this unfortunate Insignia Driver will fall, but looking like the Tahm Kench will then finish at level 19, has to use Ignite to Garbanius as well. The final tongue last snipes him down, and I need to rest my voice.
That was a lot in a short amount of time. Tahm Kench with that Dusk and Dawn is just so powerful into this team, managing to take down the LeBlanc as well. It's just so insane that he can use so little and still get to proc his Devourer. But we are gonna see NOL here on a Drake trying to get themselves the soul.
Looking like they will actually, in fact, get themselves the soul here. That's a really, really important soul here. Does mean, as you mentioned earlier, Burp, so strong on this Vayne and so strong on this LeBlanc as well. This Vayne now has 4 items completed. Looking like they're transitioning towards this Jack Show for the final item, just for that extra bit of tankiness. Prevent the Smolder and the Syndra from one-shotting them as we're transitioning to these latter stages of this game. That being said, this Smolder now nearly full items completed, so tanked, just so much damage now. That execute clearly so important as we get into the team fights. Baron is now available. Casper is going to take a bit of passive damage from a Smolder Super Scorcher Breath, and already that's a quarter of his HP gone. If Casper isn't careful, Burp, he really could get taken down immediately in these team fights.
Yeah, Smaller is dealing a lot of damage here. I don't know how many stacks Smaller is at, if we maybe can get a check on it, that, but is quite strong here at 375 stacks at 33 minutes.
Yes, so many stacks in this game, and this Time Kench now has nearly 400 stacks on this Dark Seal as well. So tanky, and this Baron fight is really shaping up to be an incredibly important one. This could be the game here, and Gothinjoy is going to get jumped into by Insignia Driver. We're going to escape. It doesn't mean there's going to be fighting the top lane though, because in comes Xiao Chan, and Xiao Chan gets instantly taken down. Garbanis decides to use the Keeper's Verdict to knock them away, and they now have the advantage for the Baron to be available as well. Gothmummy Spit has actually decided to use his final hours, so no ultimates available, and it does mean that maybe, just maybe, Purple Jackets can sort of delay this fight and wait for Gothinjoy to wait for this top laner to respawn. Does have the TP available, but no ults available for the rest of NOL7. Now NOL7 are patiently waiting, trying to get vision here, but Gothinjoy does so much damage and they're so scared of it. And this is a tanky Zac, and already a quarter HP. That is so much damage.
Yeah, Driver is dealing a lot of damage here. As you said, on Zac as well, one of the tankier playing on PJ's team, and already almost dead from one combo by LeBlanc.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really think it's becoming a bit difficult now for Purple Jackets to sort of create the fights they want. They want those skirmishes, they want all in, as we mentioned earlier. But if they wait too long, Insignia Driver is waiting patiently to sort of get the just slowly chip away at those health bars, and doing a really nice job of this now. Now, Purple Jackets need to get themselves into this game, need to start a team fight. What do you think they need to do at this point in the game, Burp?
I am not really sure. This smaller just need to get the protected as much as possible, but it's really hard as a driver is just trying to jump into the backline and getting picks here. So as you say, a Purple Jacket just need to try to get this all in, trying to get this picks on this Vayne and on to driver. Trying to get something out of it, maybe getting the pressure to push into these side lanes and maybe get a Nashor at some point.
Absolutely. And one important thing to pick up now is that Zac has decided to look for that Spirit Visage. So clearly threatened by Insignia Driver's damage here. Does have the Rabadon's finish as well as the Ludens. So going to be difficult to sort of maybe burst down this Zac now the Spirit Visage is available. But it doesn't mean that Purple Jackets do not want to start up this Baron, and they will do exactly that. As Cyan Chan's going to do as much damage as possible. Garbanis going to knock him away, but the ultimate isn't available now to knock anyone else and Purple Jackets away. Baron now just under 5,000 HP, and Matufa's patiently waiting over the wall. Lazy's got a big job in his hand, does the smite, finally gets it. In comes the Morn as well. So much damage, and this Smilder is ripping through the entirety of NOL7. Lazy's not finished, the passage going to get procced, but it's looking like PJ aren't finished and want more blood. Gothmummy Spit now instantly taken down. Casper and Insignia Driver going to have to run away, but this Smolder is killing your entire team. Sion now just doing as much as he can, uses the Tongue Lash and takes on Insignia Driver, and it's looking like Purple Jackets might win the game here, Burp.
Yeah, it looks like Purple Jacket might get the win. They did get the all-in that they were looking for, and the Nashor, well played by Lazy there on the smite. Matufa did try, but it looks like it's gonna be game here, as none of NOL's team is up.
No, Insignia Driver doing everything he can to keep them alive in this game. Purple Jackets win the series, and NOL7 fall into that lower bracket. It looks so hopeful. The Vayne was so strong, but unfortunately it didn't matter because Purple Jackets just won the team fights when it mattered. The Baron fight was so incredibly important, and Purple Jackets win the series.
Yeah, well played by Purple Jacket. I would like to see if it would have been a best of five, as we do get to see in 1 week. Both these teams are gonna brawl it out. Best of five. We will see if Purple Jacket can take that as well, or if Noel's champion pool is too big. But we will see that next week. Noel will drop down to the bottom bracket as they hopefully did not want, but the Purple Jacket did not let their foot off the gas. Besides that, Udyr in game two, a little bit weird pick if you ask me, giving Incident Driver the gas that they wanted. But all over, what an amazing series! What some amazing games! And if I may ask you, Hampy, who do you think are the MVPs and aces from these three games?
Oof, it's a really, really good question there. Um, I've got to give credit to just the entire team of NOL7. I thought they did really well throughout the game. Um, I would have potentially edged it to Insignia Driver if they'd have won that last game. But I think Goth Enjoyer was the difference. And I'm gonna have to give probably Goth Enjoyer the MVP for the series. Um, kind of brought his team out in the first game, and in that last game as well. Incredibly, incredibly important, and primary reason alongside the Tam Kench while they won. So my MVP does go to the Goth Enjoyer because the Smolder was the big difference in that last game.
Yeah, the Smolder was truly a big difference in that last game. And as we did see earlier as well in the other games, did do pretty good all across the board. Did win themselves game one and game three through the bot lane alone almost. So I do agree. That ADC is something else from Purple Jacket. But then you also do have the ace. Who do you think is the best of No One's a Legend? Who is the ace?
Noah's Legend 7.
Yes.
Uh, I think Noah's Legend 7, the obvious choice is probably Insignia Driver. I thought Insignia Driver played a really good game in majority of those games, really, especially in the LeBlanc game, and the Lysandra game was clearly an important one. We can see when they get their picks, really, and they get the carries that you mentioned, the hyper carries, clearly just so incredibly important. So I think Insignia Driver and I want to give it Matufa as well. I'm a bit like between the both because Matufa and Insignia Driver were two people that were just on the same page constantly. And I think I can't pick between the two because I think they were both just as equally important.
That is true. That is true. It is a quite hard choice to pick in between those two. They both did amazingly in all games. But all, if I consider all three games, I do almost feel like Matufa did pull on top just barely. But of course, Driver had the moments in game two where it was running through them all. But all over, I am gonna give my ace over to Matufa, but it is barely over Driver.
Yeah, I mean, incredible games and commiserations to NOL7. It does mean, though, as a reminder, as we transition in to the playoffs next week, it does mean NOL7 will play Purple Jackets. So another game for the series. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting one because it now means that they're going to both be fighting each other after fighting today, Burp. So one to remember. But don't go anywhere because next week we are going to be back with the playoffs starting from the 14th. So a reminder, this was the last game of the regular season. So make sure you tune in then. There's going to be some incredible games and we'll see who wins this split. Will it be Good Cheaters? Will it be Abyssal Kittens who've both been dominant forces through this series? We'll see what happens. But thank you very much for joining us. I've been Hampy. This has been Burp. Thank
And
you very much.
may I say something? If you guys are interested in Division 1, there is gonna be a stream tomorrow as well. For Division 1, the last game for Division 1, if I'm not mistaken. So it is going to be quite interesting tomorrow as well. Nice. Okay, I did get confirmation. I was wrong. apparently 6 missing or something like that. So that's on me, false information. But
Mhm.
stay tuned for the Division 1 as well, as they are also playing in not too long.
Yeah, but don't, like I said, come back for the playoffs. Make sure you're there for that, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next stream. Peace.
Let's go.